Warning. This show contains content intended for adult audiences. The language is crass at best and downright insulting most of the time. This is all made for the sake of comedy and poor sophomoric taste. The skits are parodies, and any similarity to real people or stories is purely coincidental. Any insults hurled at any one human is made in jest. We're just covering our bases for when one of you skins your knee on an internet insult. We love you. Again, this is all a joke, whether you laugh or not. Not just the show, but this waking existence. The great cosmic giggle. Try not to take it seriously.
15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. We have a liftoff. Liftoff on Apollo. Now, I'm sure that most of you know the old story about the astronaut who went far out into space and was asked on his return whether he had been to heaven and seen God. And he said yes.
Greetings, ladies, gentlemen, non-binaries, and sentient artificial intelligence. Join us on this journey to find the others. Because no matter where we find ourselves in this multiverse, the act of existing is all too familiar.
Guys? Is anybody out there? Hello?
The mushroom has a tremendous problem-solving ability.
Herb is a plant. Herbs are good for everything.
As we look across this great expanse and stare at the stars, we can't help but be reminded these lights, though we're seeing them all at the same time, happen across a multi-billion-year delta. Some of those fires burned millions of years ago, some billions, but all of them happened so we could experience them in this one singular moment.
They called us scouts. They called us seekers. They called us Hoosier. But we were destined to question everything.
I don't know about you, but as for me, the question has already been answered. Should we be here? Yes.
It's the Hoosier Sophisticate Show. Question all the things that you know. Steve likes the weed. Steve likes the weed. By DMT. The DMT. Hoosier Sophisticate Show. The Hoosier Sophisticate Show. Hoosiers with the drink. Sophisticated blasphemy. It's the Hoosier Sophisticate Show. Question all the things that you know. So let's set our minds free for the singularity. It's the Hoosier Sophisticate Show. The Hoosier Sophisticate Show.
join us and start your day with a gentle meditation from Hoosier Sophisticate. Let us all remember, we are only as good as our last breath.
Find awareness of your breath. Total awareness in your breathing. Notice the inhale. Notice the exhale. Begin to feel the belly expand with each inhale. Feel the belly contract with each exhale. Feel the breath coming in through the nostrils and filling the lungs. Feel the breath exiting through the nostrils as the lungs deflate. Relax the breath. Relax the breath. Find a feeling of heaviness in the body. Feel the heaviness. Feel each part of your body, from the toes to the top of the head, become heavy. You are so heavy that you sink into the floor. Find that awareness. Feel the heaviness. Now become aware of the lightness in the body. Awaken that lightness in each part of the body. From the top of the head to the tips of the toes. Every part of the body is light and weightless. The body becomes so light that it might float off the floor. Be aware of this lightness. Feel this lightness. Now find the feeling of being cold. Find that sensation of being chilled to the bone. Imagine facing the icy wind of winter head on. Imagine walking barefoot on a slab of ice. Your feet are cold. Your bones are cold. Your body is cold. Be aware of that feeling of coldness. Feel the cold. Now turn to the feeling of heat. Find that experience of heat all over the body. Imagine a hot, humid day, no wind, the sun beating on your skin. Imagine sitting in a sauna, warm steam rising and filling the air with the heat. Be hot. Feel the heat. Be aware of the heat. Now move into the experience of pain. Concentrate on the feeling of pain. Emotional pain. Physical pain. Become aware of that pain and sit with this feeling of pain. Now bring in the feeling of pleasure. submerge yourself in pleasure. Relive any past experience of pleasure, either physical or mental. Be in that moment. Feel the pleasure. Be aware of that pleasure. Now come back to your breath. Notice the calmness of your breath, the evenness of your breath, the inhale, the exhale. Open your eyes.
From Beckley Foundation, ayahuasca stimulates the birth of new brain cells. For a long time, scientists believed that no new neurons are born in the brains of adults, meaning that when our existing brain cells become damaged or die, they are not replaced. However, it was later discovered that neurogenesis, meaning the creation of new neurons, does in fact occur in the hippocampus, a brain region associated with memory. Unfortunately, the rate of neurogenesis is not always sufficient to replace all of our damaged neurons as we age, which is why many people suffer from dementia and other age-related cognitive deficiencies. Fortunately, a study conducted by the Beckley St. Paul Research Program and published in the journal Scientific Reports reveals that certain compounds present in the psychedelic Amazonian brew ayahuasca actually stimulate the birth of new neurons. Researchers placed harmine and tetrahydroharmine, the most prevalent alkaloids in ayahuasca, in a petri dish with hippocampal stem cells, and found that this greatly increased the rate at which these cells developed into fully mature neurons. The result of this study were first presented at the Interdisciplinary Conference on Psychedelics Research in 2016, and represent the first evidence that components of ayahuasca have neurogenic properties, thereby opening up a wealth of possibilities for future research. Beckley is currently conducting additional experiments to discern the magnitude of the observed effects, as well as undertaking studies on live animals. The replication of the present findings in vivo would represent a major breakthrough in mental health care, with potential applications ranging from treating neurodegenerative and psychiatric disorders to redressing brain damage associated with stroke or trauma. Jordi Riba of the Beckley St. Paul Research Program explains the latest findings, illustrating them with the beautiful images following. What you see here is a static picture taken after several days of treatment of the stem cells with the different compounds. No neurons were present prior to the 3 different treatments. A. Saline, water and salt. B. Harmine. And C. Tetrahydroharmine. This image is the control, when only salty water, saline, added to the cell cultures. The nuclei of the stem cells can be seen in blue. These stem cells have been treated with saline for several days, and only a few have developed into young neurons, the few green spots in the image. Harmine stimulates neurogenesis in vitro. This image shows the results after several days of treatment with harmine. Blue is still present because it's a marker of cell nuclei, and all cells have nuclei, stem cells and neurons. The green spots are the young neurons marked using TUJ1 staining. This staining is specific for neuron-specific class 3 beta tubulin, present in recently created neurons. The red spots show more mature neurons.
the staining marks the microtubule-associated protein 2, MAP2, its presence increases during neuron development. This image shows the results obtained after several days of treatment with tetrahydroharmine. The meaning of the colors is the same. Why is this so exciting to me? When we talk about mental health and how psychedelics may contribute to them, many times we're depending on our anecdotal and subjective experiences and how we can explain them. Sure, we have the experience and we say, man, I just feel a little sharper. The sky looks a little bluer. The air tastes a little crisper. Everything just seems a little clearer. So we've hypothesized that psychedelics may contribute to some kind of neurogenesis, at least a heightened communication among neurons in the brain. But very rarely has that ever translated to quantifiable science. And this study appears to have done just that. When we take these harmines and tetrahydroharmines that are found in these different ayahuasca brews and we apply them directly to cells in petri dishes, they're actually causing neuron growth, neurogenesis. This is amazing. We have so much to learn in the field of psychedelic science. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. And I want to remind all of you that this information was originally debuted at a conference in 2016. So while we can be excited about doing all of these things through the correct channels, we also have to understand that the time frame for all of this is very cumbersome. So we practice our patience, we all do our due diligence, we still try and quantify in our own way our own subjective and anecdotal experiences, and we hope for more of these studies that actually prove what we've maybe been speculating all along. This is Craig with this week's Psychedelic Scrapbook. I hope you enjoyed it.
And now back to your regularly scheduled deprogramming. Good morning, sophisticated Hoosiers. It's a lovely January 20th, year of our Lord 2021. The United States of America gets a new leader today. We're just going to have some fun. We're going to chat. I hope everyone is doing well. Hopefully your morning meditation sets you right. We're gonna have a good time today, guys. So I'm gonna bust out a little different view here and just check in with you. What are you guys thinking about the inauguration? We always kind of try to avoid politics to a certain degree around here, at least kind of national politics that don't seemingly go anywhere. I'm going to do my best not to drone on with you guys. We are going to be joined by Makate in the 9 o'clock hour, and he and I are going to get into the weeds a little bit. I'm pretty excited about it. He and I spoke last night, and we've been kind of chomping at the bit a little bit to get to know one another. I walked out of the house. I got ready this morning. I had a nice little night of sleep. And after, going home, after working my second job, and then going home and tutoring my kid, I'm now, I would say, average in graphing linear equations. So I'm really kicking some ass. With some eighth grade algebra right now. So pat me on the back for that. Anyway, I got a decent night's sleep, and I get up this morning. I'm having a nice little shower, and what happens? Well, I left the house without my glasses, so I'm having a little hard time reading the text, and it is what it is. Sound is funny. Well, hopefully it figures it out. Hopefully I'm coming through well now. Just let me know one way or the other. Jason is on his way in here to kind of run the back end of things to get some sound out in the studio. In the meantime, I'm just going off of physical levels, and it looks like it sounds pretty good. So sounds like we got a few people saying it sounds great there. Great, wonderful, terrific, glad to hear it. I apologize. Was it weird when I did the meditation? Is that when the sound was weird? Because that's entirely possible. I was going through the studio mic, and I've been getting my ass kicked by that thing here lately. So we get a new president today, and then all of our problems are fixed, guys. That's good.
And without, offering too much opinion on one or the other, I felt as though, what was it? I guess the other day, as they actually certified the votes, I didn't feel like we had a chance of winning as a nation, as long as we're looking at it as our guy winning and their guy losing. We've got to get back to moving in some kind of step, and that's not to say that there hasn't always been, political turmoil, but this one's been a little bit different. And honestly, at least it seemed like with the parties full of shit, there was kind of somebody who, was leading the path forward, who was somewhat competent. And I feel as though we've slowly kind of backslid to where it's, if anything, what I'm grateful for in President Trump's presidency is that we show people. I like the mirror that it is, and we show people how, that office shouldn't be as powerful as it is. And there were people parroting, when President Obama took a lot of what's the word? Authoritative executive action that, it's all fine and good when they're doing stuff that you like. You're not going to like it when it's the other side doing stuff that you don't like. So I'm hoping that we can get back to a system of government where Congress can keep our presidents in check, and it all stops being, a 24-hour reality show, and that's as much on the media as it is on anybody. So anyway, for those of you who are excited about the inauguration today, I hope that you enjoy it, and I hope that it brings you some solace if in times of angst. And that's something that Makate and I are going to talk about today, is figuring out how to be how to boost the signal of love in a world that is really bathing in a fear cycle right now, and it's very difficult, especially when that fear becomes reality and hits close to home. Economic shutdowns, major health pandemics. There have been all kinds of things to root people in fear, especially over the last year. And we all know that fear is a great motivator, and it's also a great seller. And so there are a lot of people profiting off of fear. But we believe that love is easily as profitable. So it just depends on what we lean into, right? So I'm having a real tough time with these. I'll tell you what I can do. I can pull up this video, and I'm just going to be a little bit behind on the comments. But I hope that you guys will join in, throw what you have at me, everything that you have at me. Sound is fine now. Great. Yeah, just like in the monitor. Okay. It'll all be fixed tomorrow. No sweat. No sweat at all. So we got that. There's a couple of things going on I wanted to talk about. There are scientists saying that AI will reach a point that it's uncontrollable, no matter how smart we think we are. There is a new tech item that allows us to experience life in the third person. Some of us have known that as ketamine for a long time, but there's a backpack that you can put on, walk through the world, and what it does is it kind of floats behind you to allow you to see you walking around like your own game of Grand Theft Auto, I guess, if you will. And some poor schlup is missing $275 billion with a B, which, as many of you know, would make him the richest man in the world. We're going to talk about all of that. We're going to have some fun. I want to announce something that I'm very appreciative of, and that is yesterday. It would appear that that Steve started something. And there are a lot of people in the community determined to see it through, and that is very special. Yesterday, I saw somebody maybe share a Clover post saying, check out the comments, and Clover was talking about their new flavor of sodas, of Keef Colas or Keef Root Beer or whatever it is. And even there were people that were even trying to praise them for for bringing it to market, but still let them know that, they are opting to not buy these products until they make actual medicine available. Now, I've noticed something personally in my own personal life, and I'm trying to apply it to everything that's going on. Personally, in my own life, over the course of the last week or so, my emotions have been running pretty high, especially with this fight for actual medicine. And in that emotion, and this is something I think for the most part we've been, let's be honest, Hoosier Sophisticate has gotten to where it is, and the community has gotten to where it is by being inclusive, by coming to the table to talk to people we even disagree with, by being respectful, by being a place of love. And over the course of at least the last week, maybe 2 weeks, it's gotten very snarky. It's gotten very negative, and you can't help but feel it spill over when that happens. And it's not to say that the negativity isn't warranted, because it is. Because let's be honest, nobody was talking about FECO until a couple of weeks ago. I mean, there was a handful that were whispering about it, and parents that were having to whisper about it and asking and begging and pleading where they could go to get medicine. So that conversation's always been going on, but nobody has been holding the quote-unquote medical marijuana, Missouri medical marijuana industry accountable. And that started with Steve going at people. And so, and people, and some people had some backhanded, underhanded shit to say about it too. People that are expecting to be paid by dispensaries, people that are expecting to be paid by weed brands, they thought they had some smart shit to say. And these people, they like to pat themselves on the back over, over what they've done in the past, as if, nobody else, grew medicine illegally or made it available illegally. Like, a lot of people carried a lot of stuff. That does not, your past prior experience is something that's great to base kind of, who you are on some things, but it doesn't absolve you from actually holding people accountable for what is needed. And in this moment, medicine is needed, and it took some people kind of, beating their chest to get some people to hear it. Now, with that being said, I've long said that you're never going to coerce me into action. It's just not going to happen. I can be compelled into action. I cannot be coerced. And I hope that is I hope that people are moving through life similarly. Nobody is moved by the little child that is throwing themselves on the ground and pounding their fists on the floor and doing it for, until they run out of breath or, they lose their voice. No one is moved by that. But people can be compelled, and love is compelling, and coercion is fear. And so that's the way that we're going to take. That's the direction we're going to take here. I didn't spend, 5 years developing relationships with people just to turn around and call them cocksuckers, because I know that to not be true. I know that many people, I believe that the vast majority of people are good. I believe in the inherent good of people. And with that, good morning, Bruce. And with that, I believe that we can affect some real change. Now, sometimes you got to stand on top of a milk crate, and you got to shout at everybody until you at least have their attention. And I believe that we have their attention. So now it's time to move in a way and communicate in a way that is palatable to adults, to achieving adults. And that's the direction I'm going to move. Also, we have sponsors that are involved with this show. And the reason that they got involved with this show is because they believe in what this community is and what this show's always stood for, because it's been a love-first community from day one. So, with that being said, they are not, nobody that's actually making a paycheck from the industry, especially the tangential businesses or the supplementary businesses, auxiliary businesses to the actual license winners. Anybody who is just trying to do some business with them really can't afford to have less outlets to work with. And I caught myself yesterday in a conversation because we are fired up that there is no FICO. And I'm working with Jason at Sweetleaf, and we got something really cool working up. And I believe it's going to give dispensaries an opportunity to get on. It's actually going to give every license winner an opportunity to get on board to make this happen so that nobody has to feel bad about bringing boutique products to market that mimic a recreational market. We're just going, but in the meantime, as long as there are only a select few people allowed to cultivate and manufacture medicine, our needs need to be heard. We are 2.5 years into a program, and there is no RSO available or FICO oil, and that's what the point I was trying to get to with all of this. I got into an argument because we're asking, where's the RSO? Where's the FICO? Where's the RSO? And when I say RSO, I'm saying it as, as the full extract cannabis oil that we know it to be. I understand Rick Simpson used a different method to do it. I understand we've found better methods to do it. To me, this is a marijuana, don't say marijuana, say cannabis type argument. There's room for it. It is important on some levels. It's especially important when you're a parent and maybe the kid that you're treating has potential allergies to how it is extracted. So on that level, it is important. But on the whole, when we're asking the industry for medicine and we're trying to educate people, good morning, Belinda, it is important that we don't lose sight of what we're actually asking for. With all of that said, I got chippy with somebody in a post that was talking about RSO or FICO. They insisted on it being called FICO. Good morning, Jen. How are you? They insisted on it being called FICO, and at first I was just like, why does this matter right now? Why does this matter right now? I feel like you are deflecting the conversation from what we should be talking about. However, good morning, Mike. And Kush Coach, I agree with you. Like, by God, Rick Simpson, he needs Rick Simpson brought this to light, and the guy doesn't have a pot to piss in. He's got, he's got the law up his ass, and he's sick now. Like, I think we can get away with calling it Rick Simpson oil and just, and just move on, right? Like, we're all talking about the same thing. However, this is how jaded I am. I want to, there are a couple of people in this industry that I absolutely adore in the Missouri movement, people that are untouchable. I try to tell them often how much they mean to me, how much they mean to the movement, and me telling them doesn't fucking make it so. Everybody sees the amount of work and sacrifice that they do, and they do it not because it's just this passion project, but because they were thrown into this by diseases and sicknesses that were out of their control. And so there's a couple of people that are completely off limits to me as far as, getting sideways with. And I caught myself yesterday getting sideways with Wendy Turner. And I love Wendy. I love the Turner family. I love Tommy. I love Wendy. I love Colton. I love Skylar. I love the whole crew. I think that family, I think the world of that family. And I can't state enough how it took me a minute. I was digging my heels in saying, God damn it, stop changing this conversation. I'm not talking about what we should call it. I'm talking about that we fucking need it. But I'm sitting here and I was preaching to the choir. I was preaching to a mother who, FICO oil saved her kid's life and is currently saving her kid's life. And I'm sitting here like having a back and forth with her over something that's not. Honestly, like if it's worth her to defend, then by God, if she tells me, Craig, it matters because, when we used to go in, my son was almost poisoned by poorly extracted RSO, and if she says it matters, then I'm gonna fucking shut up. I'm gonna shut up about it. I think we were both having kind of two different conversations, and I also think that earlier on she was telling me she was agreeing with me. She didn't want the conversation to be sidetracked. It wasn't until I dug in on somebody else, and be honest, like I came with the snark first. I was like, great, cool. You guys talk about terminology. Fine, wonderful. I'm going to work on getting gallons of fucking FICO oil to patients. And that's where I was at. And I was just getting more and more, I guess, obstinate about it, you know. But look, here's the deal. I hope we're living in a world, I really do, like we're living in a world where shaming in public on social media is considered, fair play in order to get people to change their ways. And I'm not sure that I entirely disagree with that. You know, you take an action, you have to stand by the potential repercussions of that action. What I fear is that after someone has been dragged, there's also this thing. It's one thing to be dragged, it's another thing to be canceled. And so I hope that we're creating a space where we can all have a bad day and we can all, and we can all fucking get the poison out. And then we can essentially come back and apologize for any hurt feelings or, anything along those lines. I'm not looking for enemies in this industry. It's too small, and the number of good ones, I will say that, what a lot of people, how the industry has taken off versus how the industry looked like it was shaping up and the people that were going to be able to participate in it is a little disheartening. A lot of stuff is frustrating us. And, part of leading, I think one of the best things that people can do at the forefront of the conversation is be able to apologize. I'm not apologizing. I'm not backpedaling on people, on a select few people who I truly think don't have any desire to operate in a medical market in Missouri. I'm simply not that interested in letting those people off the hook. I am interested in starting a cordial conversation about what this market is and what we thought we were voting for. So there are people who I think there's been some shrapnel. I think taking shots at a select few, big company kind of Stan Kroenke types, if you will, Walmart, the Walmarts of cannabis. I think taking shots at them is fair game. I think that the game that they play is affecting people a lot more like me, and a lot more like the people that make up our community, people that do make up our community. So it's not lost on me that dispensaries are handcuffed. It's not lost on me. It's never been lost on me. I think the first time this came up, I think it's a pretty easy thing to understand if you understand how supply chains work. However, we would like to see these. We would like to see this coalition of dispensaries who all kind of are saying the same thing, who are all saying, yes, we're asking for this, and we're not getting it. No one's making it. I don't think it's too much to ask them to stand up and say, look, you got to do better. We're not going to buy this product until you do better. However, I also understand that there are other medical applications. Good morning, Dennison. How are you? There are other medical applications besides FICO protocols, right? We talk about this all the time. Smoking a joint, eating an edible made of distillate, all of these things are great. They can potentially curb anxiety. They can help increase appetite. They can help with sleep. But when you're talking about someone who has a terminal diagnosis, we're talking about getting them medicine that actually has an opportunity to reverse that diagnosis. And distillates ain't getting it, and smoking ain't getting it. Okay, so at the forefront, we feel as though those needs need to be met in the market before we start celebrating and tap dancing about candy. Okay, that's fine. I'm not going to keep beating a dead horse. I've never made it a secret. There are dispensaries that I work with. I've created some of the merchandise I'm actually in marketing and branding. So believe me when I say I understand what many of these companies are doing. My 9 to 5 job, my noon to 5 job, now that I got this one, is one that allows me to kind of have my finger on the pulse of different advertising modalities and different marketing ways of marketing. And I also work with digital marketers, so I understand what they're doing, and that's fine. And I also, and honestly, just running it back to the only other time where I feel like maybe I went a little too far, kind of, I don't know, lambasting the state or the program was when IP 128 was being introduced at the beginning of last year. And that all started because someone decided they had some smart shit to say to Ashley Markham. And Ashley Markham's an untouchable. She's an untouchable for me. If somebody fucking comes at my gal, I'm gonna show my fucking teeth to him. She's one of the good ones, and I'm not gonna let anybody do it. And that's the other thing. Ashley works with the dispensary down in Springfield, and if she's telling me this is how it's going, then I have no reason to not believe her. I respect her that much. So, I've never made it a secret that I work with these people. I have collected checks on the cannabis industry. I've collected more money from the cannabis industry doing what I do from noon to 5 than I ever have sitting here, and I ever probably will sitting here, because that's not what this is. This is a community page, and we're just trying to make the community a little bit better. With that being said, I completely would understand over the course of the last few weeks why some people at those dispensaries would tell us to go pound sand, and I don't know that they would be wrong. However, I can get out in front of them and say, hey, look, I'm not sorry for the conversation we started. I'm not sorry for the way that we've made people think. I'm not sorry for the light that we've painted you in, because you yourself are living in that light. I am sorry for the shrapnel and collateral damage to small businesses and dispensary winners who frankly they're just doing what they can to get by, and I am what's the word I'm looking for? I'm empathetic to the cause of small business owners who are just trying to fucking make a payroll and just trying to keep doors open. I think that dispensaries will happily carry any cannabis product that they can. And I think that there are people like Denison Collard at Native Hemp Extract that are making Delta 8 gummies available that are a awesome substitute for Delta 9 THC edibles, and at roughly half the price. So I feel like there are conversations that can be had, connections that can be made to where we can get through this. But in the meantime, and I've got a meeting tomorrow. I'm going to drive I'm going to drive all the way across the state, and hopefully make some headway there about FICO. And it's that's the deal. That's what we're doing here. I'm not looking for enemies. I was never looking for enemies. I'm also not. I also have plenty of friends. So I'm not going to look the other way when I feel like people are doing the wrong thing. And we've said all along, a good friend tells their friends when they're being an asshole. I think it's fair and safe to say that a lot of what we've said is fair play. And exactly right. That's exactly right. So I'm gonna get to the text line a little bit here, guys. I apologize again. I can't see a damned thing right now, so I'm doing my best to see. So I got up this morning. I was feeling great. I get in the shower. I get ready in the dark. Everybody's asleep. It's whatever. It's 5:30 in the morning, and I got about halfway down the road, and I'm like, man, everything's just kind of a little blurry. So I don't have glasses today. I'm just running back to calling an RSO pays homage to the guy that started it, but at the end of the day, it's fucking medicine. Got that right. I got in a giant argument with a couple assholes about that the other day. Who cares the name if the product isn't available? Does it matter? Some lady tried to say RSO was a brand. I think that might be a lady that I got a little sideways with, but you know what? Like, again, and I apologize to her. The point of that whole story is that sometimes it doesn't. It feels good to actually get the apology out, but all of that anxiety leading up to having to apologize is not great, right? But it's also fear that keeps us from doing it. Fear and pride kind of run hand in hand. And so, I don't know that gal. I don't know her. But I know that, I know that there's enough people fucking lobbing Molotov cocktails, on social media. And I think a lot of it is gotcha moments, and I ain't that fucking gotcha guy, I'm trying to actually advance a conversation. I said the other night I was fucking pissed off because I can't believe that we're still having to talk about this, because there are things that are more pressing to me, that are harder to get done. There are things that I think are just so much harder to get done, and I want to focus on those. We have a major mental health crisis. We have a major opioid crisis. Okay, I believe that psychedelics will be they are the one thing. There is no one thing that fixes everything, but they are the one thing that will be most effective when it comes to taking on our mental health crisis and our opioid epidemic. Okay, and so I want to focus my attention on that. I feel like I am backsliding every time I have to remind these people that we have a medical program, and there is no reason. There is absolutely no reason why we shouldn't. I've always been, let's do this from a liberty standpoint. The first time I was pissed off because I felt like thousands of Missourians got their life savings stolen from them in a fixed game by the state. I still stand by that. So there's that's part one. That part pissed me off. Yesterday, we this group rallied around. We all rallied around Aubrey this year, but Aubrey is she's just another little warrior. She's just another one of the little warriors that we've decided to take care of. And I got to see Adelie's mom, and I don't know how many of you are familiar with Adelie. I got to see her mom, but she was our recipient last year at the Washer tournament, and she had an insanely rare cancer. And man, it's just fucking hard. It's hard, and I don't think that anybody is making excuses. I don't think anybody's looking for an attaboy. But when you see a casket this fucking big and you go to the funerals, it's hard. It's hard to see that. That shit, it takes a lot out of you to put everything you have into hope and then see an industry work against you. It takes everything in your power not to fucking go crazy when you are asking people who don't have two nickels to rub together, and somehow they're the ones that can donate to these causes. And this is not new for this industry to turn its back on people looking for help to get patients medicine. I'm going to remind everybody that the very first cannabis conference in this state was run by Blake Bell and Project 422. And Project 422 was an organization that calls to mind that 22 veterans a day complete suicide. And we believe that cannabis and other healing modalities are a better opportunity for them to actually realize a life worth living when they come back from wars that we have no fucking business in, okay? When we threw that event, when we put on that event, it was a group of like 8 of us, okay? Blake did a shitload of work. Guys like Chris Haney did people that probably don't want their name put out there because they weren't doing it for recognition. They were just doing it. And that conference, as far as information goes, was as good of a conference as I've ever been to. Dr. Sue Sisley was there. Dr. Jeffrey Hergenrather was there. Dr. Kasara Andre was there. We had doctors out the frickin' yin-yang coming to talk about the healing potential of cannabis. And when we reached out to Normal said, fuck Blake Bell. and turn their back on it. Okay? When we reached out to different lobbying organizations, they all turned their back on this thing. But you know what happened? We put on the conference, and there were potential patients and veterans that filled that hall. Okay? We did it anyway because we believe in something bigger than the money aspect of this industry. Okay? So it's really hard to do that, to watch shit get done on the backs of veterans, right? Because that's what we earmarked these funds for. We earmarked the money for veterans. It's very, very difficult to watch tens of millions of dollars made through the program and $2 million of it given to veterans, and then the state using the other money, what they call like a surplus. It's not a surplus. They're using that money to fight Missourians. And if more of these Missourians were in the market, we'd have a lot better chance having actual medicine. So let me explain our anger and our angst a little bit to you so that you understand where we're coming from. Because these dispensary, in some cases, the dispensary owners of these children's communities, they're not at these funerals. These manufacturers are not at these kids' funerals. These cultivators are not there. Okay? We're asking for fucking help. And the only people are helping are the people that have the least to give. Certainly, everybody can understand the frustration attached to that. With that being said, we can't do it alone. We can't fucking do this alone. We need the people who have the dollars, we need the people who have the resources, and we need the people who have the licenses to procure the medicine itself to all be working with us. I'm not your enemy. I'm not your enemy. I am a voice for patients. Period. End of story. I am a voice for patients because we have trade associations, but we don't have patient associations. That's the community. And some of us have been speaking with and for the community for several years. And we would be remiss to not say something when it's not right. We don't need to fucking harp on this all day. I want everyone to know that if for some reason, and I understand I can be abrasive, I get it. I play Danny Diamonds. Danny Diamonds, that character comes out of that little fucking jerk-off that lives inside of me that I got to let out every now and then. That's who Danny Diamonds is. That's what Danny Diamonds do, okay? But I'm not trying to, there are some bridges I'll happily let burn. There are some bridges I will happily let burn. But I'm not trying to fight on 200 different fronts. I'm not picking a fight with every dispensary. I don't care how you advertise your shit. Just help me get medicine to people. Just help me do that. And if you do that, then we can feel pretty fucking good about what we're doing. So, with that said, let's go to the text line. Let's see. I'm trying to create a way to make solventless RSO so folks can make it at home. Kush Coach, I am so excited to hear about that. And if you ever want to just we can pipe you in to the show. We can talk about it. These people wouldn't let go of calling it the wrong thing. Again, I agree. Telling me it's not the same. I wish I would have seen the thread sooner. Sorry for not stepping in. It's fine. It's frustrating when you're trying to save lives of people are like before you do. Should we call it a fire cart or a fire truck? Should we call it a fire hose or fire straw? Right. We have too many enemies with each other in the country, let alone state. Good morning, Dennis, and we already went over that. Absolutely. Good morning, brother. Juice in the raw plant. Why can't they just make the oil themselves? If that's in regards to patients, they kind of can. There is a legal question, which looks like Kush Coach is trying to solve. Let's see some full spectrum THC edibles at a minimum, no doubt. And then that's the other thing. I would love people to understand that we are not distillate is not. It's not enough. It's not enough. We need full plant spectrum medicine. Good morning, Amber. How are you? Really pushing juicing raw cannabis to folks that don't have access to RSO. Let me tell you something. I did a juice fast. And I juice like bullshit, like, I don't know, fucking kale or something. Like, if I'm going to drink green, it might as well be a fucking cannabis leaf. Let's see. And is there any advice with D8 to help with those medical protocols that FECO RSO help with? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that D8. I mean, certainly it's been discovered and it's been around long enough. But I don't know what it could potentially help with. I can tell you this. I don't think D8 is going to make you feel higher after you take RSO, because the couple of times I've tried RSO, I'm like, I can't believe. I honest to God, the first time I tried RSO, my wife was going through some medical stuff, and she just at wit's end, just trying everything, and she's a lightweight, she's a lightweight as it is, and so she takes her little grain size of rice, and I'm at work or whatever, and I come home, she goes, babe, I can't do that, I can't be a mom, I can't function, I can't get work done around this house, I can't be available to our kids, and I'm like, it's a grain of rice, babe, like come on, figure it out. But I didn't have a frame of reference, just stories. And I woke up one Saturday morning, and I'm like, all right, I'll see what this is. I'm going to just try out a little grain of rice of medicine, And this was right after a lovely night of sleep, full night of sleep, probably, good 9 hours or so. It's a Saturday. I slept in a little bit. So I get up, and I'm like, let's see what this is all about. And I took I took a grain of rice size spot of RSO, and next thing you know, I woke up like 6 hours later. So that shit is no bullshit, and I can't imagine why anybody would want to do it recreationally. I even found myself halfway pitying people that had to take it as medicine. I pitied them. Because my God, I can't imagine having to try and function in this world like that. And I get it. If you're fighting cancer, you need to be resting anyway. But that shit's no joke. It's legit. It's legitimate medicine, man. And ain't nobody trying to. I am not trying to fucking eat RSO recreationally. And I think that is. I think that's what's troubling, is when we're talking to people about potentially needing some medicine, they act as though, there's not a market for it. There's an immense market for it, man. How many people in Missouri got cancer last year? Like, I mean, look at that number alone and then say all of those people could benefit from having cancer. Every single one of them. Hundreds of thousands. So, we can do better. Aubrey acclimated to it, but it was very strong at first. Yeah, and Aubrey's, was a little baby, man, so, and that's the thing, you will build a tolerance, but geez, oh, Louiso. I mean, anyway, that's neither here nor there. I'm not looking for enemies. I came here to, and sometimes I'm a tough friend to have, I probably am going to say some shit that's bugging me. When your tolerance is high, it doesn't knock you out like that. I actually can get shit done when I take it. Yeah, I believe that. And I've heard people that take RSO and talk about how their tolerance builds so fast anyway. Let's just keep going down this text line. I'm sorry, I'm way behind on it. The question, Dennison, was, is there any advice with D8 to help with those medical protocols that FECO RSO help with? My noon to 5 job, love it. Doing 36 hours of darkness on my girls. Kush Coach, gonna whack them down. You are a whacker, pal. Golf, your little cannabis plant whacker guy. Kush Coach, that's what's up. Look forward to seeing pictures. It's still not the medicine that the patients need. I can't legally provide what people need. That's right. Save about 7 wet grams and juice it with a mango, carrot, kale, banana, and an orange. Put a few leaves through the juice, then some peanut oil to keep blades from sticking, and run your flour through. I think a great friend tells their friends when they are an asshole. Well, thanks, man. The dying patients. Okay, I'm not sure. Let's see. I'll miss you, friend. Sounds good. Tiffany's been trying to make me juice. Doc's going to make you fucking juice, bud. Doc's going to make sure you're taking care of yourself. It works best if you freeze the buds. Miss you too, brother. Are you going to be hunting aliens? Hope to see you there. We got to find a spot to hunt aliens still. But I think I also maybe solved that one yesterday. We're gonna see. I'm going to have to go take a look at the property. I've heard there are so many micronutrients to be taken in from juicing the plant. I believe that to be true. Is that thing still on? If so, then hell yes, I'll see you there. We gotta figure it out. I'll handle it. Steve got busy. Last I heard, nice. More than RSO, be honest, you just can't apply it in the same methods, rectally or topically. You know, I had thinking about that too. Like someone had said that RSO taken rectally kind of cuts down on the high, and I don't know how that makes sense. I'm not here to argue it. I don't know. I haven't tried it, but I would think it entering the bloodstream faster would potentially make it more challenging, but or a little bit more stony. But I'll say this: my dad died of peritoneal cancer, which is kind of what they called it. They didn't ever really know what it came from. I think at the end they decided that it was probably born in the appendix. But where his cancer was located, the chemo was never going to get to it. I didn't know anything about RSO at the time, and it's my biggest regret. It's one of the reasons why I am so passionate about it. I got my dad comfortable. I gave my dad solace, helped him get his appetite back. We were able to spend a great deal of time. I set myself back in a big way when my dad got sick. I quit fucking everything. I quit my life. I quit my job. I cashed out my retirement, and I just wanted to spend time with my dad. And I did. We didn't do a whole lot. He wasn't up to do a whole lot. But I could have used that time a little bit better to educate myself about how cannabis oil potentially, helps patients. So, that shit, that I don't live with very many regrets, but I can't believe looking back, 7 years ago, I didn't fucking know enough about FECO oil. But here I am, I can't change the past. I can only be better going forward, and I'll be goddamned if I'm going to let another family go without this information. And when people talk about medical marijuana, I've had friends, I've had buddies who aren't necessarily cannabis smokers, or maybe we were good buddies, but kind of what we talk about on the show is just a little bit out of their wheelhouse, and the community moves in ways that's just a little bit different than how they do. And I still have all the love in the world for these guys, some of my best friends, but they don't fucking know. And I've had a couple of them reach out. Hey, my dad just got diagnosed. How can you help me? Well, I'm glad that they know that I'm the guy that they can call, and I'm going to at least put them in touch with people. But we do have a medical market now. And, for someone that's alone, for someone that doesn't have friends in the know, what are those people being told? That's ultimately the big question here. We passed medical cannabis. There are people who might just be getting diagnosed today that don't have a single fucking friend like the ones that exist here in this community that don't know anything about it. And when they go into a dispensary and they say, hey, I got cancer, I was hoping you could give me something that could potentially help me in this fight. I mean, there are things that dispensaries are selling right now that will help, in tangential ways, but there is nothing being sold in the dispensary that's actually going to reverse cancer symptoms. So, the plea isn't hard to hear. It's just not hard to hear. And I'm sorry for the shrapnel that has found its way into friends' sides and their association in the market. That is not the intention here. But it took somebody fucking standing on a milk crate and pounding their chest and screaming with fucking tears in their eyes to get people to even hear the situation. So hopefully anyone that feels slighted by Hoosier Sophisticate or thinks Hoosier Sophisticate has no place for them. We've always been a community of love. We've always tried, even in our group, we've always tried to, when someone comes in with a problem, we try to fucking come to their aid, What you've witnessed over the last couple of weeks are a couple of guys that are fucking exasperated because we're doing everything we fucking can and putting as much time as we can into this to watch people who we know on some levels don't give a fuck about medical cannabis. Okay? That is problematic to dudes that are dedicating 40 hours a week creating content about the industry and about these different medicines and about these different healing modalities and about this different way to move through life that isn't rooted in some kind of allopathic, has to be recorded science. Every fucking kid that we've gotten behind who's gotten RSO and who is still going through treatment, every single one of them, their doctors act as though it's a fucking miracle that their scans are so much better after they start taking it. And then these people, they have the gall to tell the parents, well, hey, we're going to switch the chemo protocol up a little bit, so maybe we'll stop on the RSO. It's not a fucking surprise. It's not a secret what is happening, okay? It is a willful ignorance from the allopathic medical field of refusing to see how this is actually working in cancer protocols because for fear of losing federal grants to their hospital systems, for fear of being fired from their hospital systems to talk about it. The fucking dog and pony show's got to stop. Doctors used to prescribe cocaine, for Christ's sake. You know, help us out. That's all. That's all. I don't need to be fighting on 50 different battlefronts. I don't need that. I'm damn sure not fighting with some fucking small dispensary in the middle of nowhere, Missouri, who can only provide what is provided to them. I have no quarrel with you. I don't. I am calling the banners. I am asking you to join, to help amplify our voice. You are speaking to the quote-unquote masters, the quote-unquote manufacturers. I guess I don't have to quote that. The manufacturers, the cultivators. You are speaking to them with your money, which is far more powerful than fucking some guys on a radio show in a tight-knit community. I mean, our voice is being heard. But we're asking you to join the fight. We know many of you are actually in the fight. We know many of you are actual patients. You know, it's not fucking out of bounds for you to tell these people to pound sand. I get it. You got to pay your bills. I understand it. You know, and I'm going to parrot this. I'm going to say this one more time. There were a lot of people who thought the best marketing decision for their business was to be the first to market. I've heard it so many goddamn times, it makes my eyes cross. We're going to be first to market. We heard it from a cultivator first. And I said, I can't imagine anybody ever remembering who the first cultivator to market was. That is a game that like 12 people are playing. So they can brag about it. They're in some fucking, BDSM masquerade that they have in some mansion. Okay, that is nobody in this state is going to remember who the first cultivator is, and I'm not going to repeat who the first cultivator was because I think that game is stupid. There will be more people who potentially remember who the first dispensary was. Even then, I don't think that's that important. But let's go ahead and concede that that is a great little marketing strategy. You are not free from the consequences of rushing to market and potentially having bad medicine on your shelves. Certainly not your fault that you might have had bad medicine. It's certainly not your fault that there is no FICO available for you to sell to the customers, but you rush to be first to market. And first to market is first to praise, and it's the first to criticism. And that's fair game. That is fair game. Right? I got no quarrel with you. I'm asking for help. I hate seeing right now, 3 people have this entire state by the balls and not just not care about it, but brazenly like fucking laughing about it. That shit is problematic for me. And, and I think it's problematic for a lot of my friends. So, we're an hour in, but I guess I better do this, huh? Let's see if that works. We're an hour in, baby. If you guys knew that I do not have, I don't have any sound playing back at me, so I was just guessing at how that beat went. I might have been humping on the downbeat. It's possible. It's totally possible. We're an hour and 10 minutes into this thing. We've got I've got some stuff. Just some weird little stuff. We can pivot the conversation and start talking about some weird shit a little bit in the second hour. In the 9 o'clock hour, actually, yeah, we're gonna come back here in about 6 minutes. I'm gonna cover a couple of stories for about a half hour, and then at 9 o'clock, Makate is going to join me. We're going to talk about amplifying the love signal in a world obsessed with fear right now. And we're just going to rock and roll. All right? This is Hoosier Sophisticate. Stick around.
Oh, hey. It's Adam McChesney with Ms. Marketing. We specialize in lead generation, filling your pipeline, and taking care of your payments. Give us a call today.
Adam from Ms. Marketing took me from 10 leads to 300 leads in a month, and I became the strongest boy in the schoolyard.
He increased the revenue for my charter fishing business by 30% in 1 month. Ms. Marketing.
What was that Facebook algorithm? What was that Instagram? Ms. Marketing.
I know it's late, baby, but you got me thinking about my dream home.
Yeah, girl. You know, Bungeon Property Group doesn't just sell houses, they sell dreams. You know when the best time to talk about dreams is? In the middle of the night. That's why Bungeon Property Group is famously open 24 hours a day, so you can whisper sweet nothings in the middle of the night. Oh yeah. Tell me all your dreams of white picket fences, in-ground pools, and I'll find them for you. In an area with a low crime rate, general proximity to nice parks, walking distance to the grocery store, easy access to the highways. A place where you can offer a quality education to your children, all while feeling safe in your front yard while they play. Let me talk that dream house talk to you. Let me be your dream realtor. Adam Bondred.
Hey, DJ Shabba.
Hey, ladies. I'm gonna smoke a little weed, boy.
I wanna grow some trees, boy.
When I grow all the weed that I smoke,
And I blow all the trees that he grows.
and I smoke all the weed that I grow,
And I grow all the trees that he smokes.
well, I'm growing and I'm smoking.
So I go see Bo.
Puff, puff, pass. And I'm smoke what I grow, yeah.
Grow active solution.
And I'm growing the hydro.
Bo knows hydro.
And I'm growing the hydro.
Grow active solutions.
Bono hydro. Bono hydro. Bono hydro. Bono how to grow. Bono how to grow. Grow active solution. Bono how to grow. Grow active solution.
I'm an outlaw, check it and see. Wanted poster looking like me. Checking the swamp man for a pretty girl. Being an outlaw in an outlaw world.
Hey, I'm an outlaw, check it and see. Wanted poster looking like me. Walking my hound dog, surfing that swamp. Catching crow that do the sweetly stomp. Everybody do the sweetly stomp.
It's a stomp, it's a wiggle, turn around, a little tickle. It's a stomp, move your feet, head on down to Sweet Leaf. Head on down to Sweet Leaf. Head on down to Sweet Leaf.
Dude, man, get on down to Sweet Leaf Emporium and do that Sweet Leaf stomp, man.
Hey guys, it's me, Kippy the Crazy Koala Bear, and I'm here to tell you about James Carlton Insurance.
Kids, quiet down.
It's the best.
Kids, quiet down and listen to Kippy.
Grown-ups need insurance, and Uncle James can help.
Right on.
Grown-ups need insurance. He's got the best reviews on Yelp. Grown-ups need insurance if they want to protect their house.
Yes, sir.
Grown-ups need insurance if they want to properly bury a spouse.
That's a bit morbid.
Grown-ups need insurance if they drive a truck.
Okay.
Grown-ups need insurance just so they don't get...
Whoa, Kippy, you can't...
Well, I was just going to say
cannot.
get in trouble.
Okay, well, it
you
sounded
don't
like you
want
were
to
going
get
to
in trouble.
like you were going to say something else. James Carlton, State Farm Insurance. You can find him online at carltoninsurance.net, or you can call him at 314-961-4800.
Native hemp inside of me. 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 I got 1,800 milligrams going real good down my throat. When I wake up in the morning and I need a pick-me-up, well, I grab my bottle of native hemp and I splash it on my tongue. Lap, lap, lap. Native hemp inside of me. Native hemp inside of me. Native hemp inside of me. Native hemp inside of me.
Native hemp extract, available at HoosierSophisticate.com. Enter code HOSO, H-O-S-O, at checkout for an additional 30% off.
Welcome back. I'd call it hour two, but it's kind of I guess it's kind of hour two, whatever. Half hour two. We're gonna get into some of the silly little ideas, articles that I talked about. There's a guy. Oh, this poor man. Oh, this poor simple man. First of all, I'm before we get too much into that, I want to catch up the conversation with the text line. I don't know how much of it is relevant at the time, but just kind of to wrap up. And I will say that as soon as we went to commercial, I've already had a dispensary reach out to me since commercial, and we're going to move forward together. The Hoosier Sophisticate is not your enemy. I am not your enemy. I am just trying to best serve patients. We did it on the backs of patients. We're going to get the patient's money. I've been wondering what's happening with everyone. I could definitely feel the vibe in the group change lately. I never had a doubt in my mind that it was just a result of good people being passionate about the work to be done. Appreciate that. That's right, Coach. You don't tell Mike what he can take rectally. You have no idea what you know that the average human anus can fit almost 2 full-size adult raccoons in it. Did you know that? Don't tell him what he can put in his take rectally. Don't you ever do that. Freeze a bud and shove it up there for the slow release. You are a sicko. It was a great conference. I was so glad to find you guys there. That is where I met Tiffany Jones. The conference she's speaking of is the Project 422 conference. And it really was. It was, as far as information goes, this thing took place in St. Charles, and it was freaking awesome. And I fell in love with Sue Sisley at that event, and watching her take care of Aiden and pushing Aiden around like she's a doctor that really cares. two full-grown adult raccoons. Good coach. That conference was great. I got to meet George Biswell there. It was where I met Chris Wolfenbarger. I got to meet a lot of great people there. And that was, it had already started for us when we met Michelle Sanchez there. We just met a lot of great people. And got very, very little. Matter of fact, got spurned by some of the people that have now become some of the big players in the Missouri cannabis industry. And their stories very rarely check out on their reasoning for it. And, and that's what makes it really hard for some of these people that are in the industry that have seen everything and they know how it went down. Yeah, most of the time it's bullshit and it's drama and it gets in the way of us doing real good things. So that Project 422 conference was amazing. And then 5 months later, Project 422 helped us put 110 veterans in the seats of the Tivoli Theater when we brought From Shock to Awe to St. Louis, and we showed them hardened warriors from Fallujah and Afghanistan, guys that did several tours that had seen unfucking speakable atrocities of war, and they came home and they got healed with ayahuasca, and their spouses got healed with MDMA, and it was so powerful, man. There were very few dry eyes in the house, and a lot of the people in that theater were also we also insisted on first responders. Because first responders, the PTSD in first responders is unbelievable. The things that I took for granted, who the people are that show up to the fucking most heinous car accidents and the things that they have to see. And, we take those things for granted. They are out of sight, out of mind. And so we filled an entire theater of veterans and firefighters and police officers and EMTs. And they watched this show, and for many of them, it was an introduction to something so freaking foreign to them, just completely out of left field. But they were open to it because they realized that it's a real problem. It's a real problem that we face. When we talk about 22 veterans completing suicide a day, that doesn't count California or Texas. Those are two of the biggest, most populous states in the union. So the number's higher than 22, and that's only the people that complete suicide. That's not people that attempt suicide. So we have a mental health crisis, and I feel as though plant medicines, I feel as though we talk about the earth being sick, and the earth will live long after we do. She doesn't depend on us. Man, I hope I don't have my wife's car keys. No, they're hanging on the coat hook, darling. I believe that the earth is waking up, and I believe that the earth is trying to communicate to us through these different plant medicines and brews. And one of the things I think that that create a lot of these toxic sicknesses is how far away from the earth that we are getting, and so it can't be overstated how important it is to get your toes in the mud a little bit and reconnect to earth. So I'm sorry I keep digressing here, but it was a great conference. Okay, I can't stand normal. That's what's up. Do that shit anyway. The amount of pettiness in this industry is outrageous when you consider it's legitimately humans dying in pain as a result of our division. Yes, preach it, friend. I got threatened over Facebook for giving out grower secrets, which aren't really secrets, just pro tips, but I was taking money from them. Get the fuck out of here. The amount of people that are consultants, and I'm not making enemies with consultants either. I do believe that people's knowledge it can very easily be traded for financial gain. But the amount of people that come out as like these professional consultants who are the only ones who know how to do it is just, it's gag-inducing. It's a hard one. It's a hard one to understand. Take care of the patients. The patients will take care of you. Absolutely love your heart. I absolutely love your heart, Jen. Like Rick Simpson did help everyone you can at the end of the day, no money and sick as fuck, but he was truly for the people that were sick. Yeah, and they'll sing his praises later. Well, I don't know if I can do this. I can try, though. This is a dangerous gamut, but I'm going to try. I'm going to show you guys something. You know, we have a wall here. Let's see if I can. We have a wall here of people that are kind of important, right? And you'll notice right there above Terrence McKenna and next to Gonzo and next to Albert Hoffman, there is a little gentleman that we call the healer, and his name is Rick Simpson. Now, what I love about this wall and my idea for this wall is that most people will look at these different silhouettes and they probably don't know who most of them are. The guy up in the left, the top left, I'm just going to give him to you real quick. The guy at top left, that's John C. Lilly. He was a pretty famous scientist. He invented the isolation. He basically invented the idea of sensory deprivation float tanks. He worked with ketamine quite a bit. He injected dolphins with LSD because he thought he could learn to speak with them. He hypothesized about an intelligence, an alien intelligence that is made technologically. Now, below John C. Lilly, you'll notice is a lady that I call Salvadora, which is savior in Spanish. That is Maria Sabina. She was a Mazatec a medicine woman who brought psilocybin mushrooms to the West, right? Next to her is Albert Hoffman. As you know, Albert Hoffman synthesized LSD, made it famous, Bicycle Day. I think you guys know who Albert Hoffman is, and we can get into that a little bit more. If we're staying along the top line, obviously that's Rick Simpson, the healer there. Next to him is Hunter S. Thompson, Gonzo. And I don't know that I'm going to be able to get you a good picture of that bunch there. That's a couple, and it's a power couple. And I'm going to recommend a documentary for all of you to watch. And I don't think I can get any closer on that. So it is what it is. That there is Sasha Shulgin and his wife Ann Shulgin, and I called them the Explorers because they essentially made a bunch of phenethylamines and tryptamines, and they tried them out, and what they would do is they had 12 friends that they would call basically the apostles, and they would all take these after Sasha and Ann would take them, then they would administer them to their 12 friends, and then those friends who were therapists and doctors and things like that would then decide if there could maybe be any kind of medical application for them. Their name isn't well known enough, but if you want to watch a documentary about the life of Sasha Shulgin and kind of what he's all about, you can go on YouTube and search the documentary, just put Dirty Pictures documentary. And I think that you will learn it. He is also the author of Tikhal, Tikhal, and Pikhal, Pikhal. Those are phenethylamines I have known and loved. HKAL, yeah, HKAL. Phenethylamines I have known and loved, and also tryptamines I have known and loved. Then coming down the second row, obviously you've got Terrence McKenna, and then you have Baba Ram Dass, and then you have Salvador Dali, and you have Timothy Leary. So I just want to let everybody know, most of the people on this wall, the average person and public has no idea who they are, but all of them have contributed something that is going to change the world in a mega positive way. So, heading back over to the table. Yeah, that's that. Just talking about Rick Simpson a little bit because he's on the wall and there's more people that need to go on the wall, and I will put more on there. But that's a wall of greats. That's exactly right. There's a lot of people there that most people don't know, and sometimes the work you do won't be known by the masses, but it will affect them in ways they can only imagine. I feel like it's a bad business move. You have people willing to give you money and support your business if you just provide the products they desire, but they're alienating their revenue stream. Well, Allie, I actually made that point to somebody who has a manufacturing license who's about to come online. And I said, I would be very surprised inside of a couple of years if people are going to use a couple of certain brands because of their brazen unwillingness to take care of patients, but rather rush to market with things like sodas and gummies. So, Kush Coach, I'll put you on that fucking wall right now, bud. I'll put you on the wall right now. I'm home with COVID for the next couple weeks, so let's do it. Damn, Kush Coach. This is like going back like an hour, but I hope you're doing well. Hopefully the COVID's not too much for you. If you have stage 4 cancer and are sick in bed on chemo, you don't have the energy or brain power to make fecal oil. And that's one of the other things that like people saying, well, we do have the ability to grow our own and make our own. Yeah, we do. You need to be focused 100% on healing when you're that sick. So we just need a little better system. That's all. That's all. So Kush Coach is good. Pops is in the ICU. Prayers and good vibes and thoughts to your pops, man. Hopefully he can pull through all that. I didn't see the D8 question. It's basically D9, but there's a carbon bond in a different position. It's no more effective at treating major things like cannabis than isolated Delta 9. Yeah, and I think that's one of the big things. A grain of rice will kick your ass. You're goddamn right it will. Pitter patter, let's get at her. Aubrey Ackle, we talked that already. When your tolerance is high, got that. I've said this a million times. People who want to smoke recreationally are already doing it. It's children and the elderly who believe that cannabis is a Schedule I drug that are needlessly dying, no doubt. I would have loved to find it next door in town. Made things tough to keep her medicine filled. Missy, text me your husband's email address. I already did that. That could go either way if you don't hit the sweet spot. I'm not... Okay. You took the time to be with your dad. You did what you could do at the time, what you knew about. Proud of you, man, and thankful you were able to do that. And I am too. When I say that, like, did I suffer setbacks? 100,000,000% I suffered setbacks. But those setbacks did not, they're not regrettable at all. Where's my epileptic meds? Can't stop seizures with half-ass edibles. I heard that, my man. That's our buddy Jason Long. I'm awake now. Y'all can start from the beginning. Skittles is one of my he's been one of the great surprises of the last couple of months to join the Sophisticated Hoosiers. I believe Steve Cummins, old Santa Claus, added him to the group. And that dude is just max relaxing. Matter of fact, I've got a character that is just going to be based on Skittles, at least on Skittles in his bubble bath. Because Skittles takes more bubble baths than any adult male for sure, but I think any adult on the planet. And I gotta say, I'm here for it. I think it's great. I get a phone call, text message, or email every single day about someone's mom or their dog or their grandparents or their secret medical condition they want to treat with cannabis. It warms my heart, but at the same time, I'm like you. What are average people being told? Right. My friends know where they can come, but there are people that don't have friends like us, guys. Yep, same, but have found average person is misled all the time. No doubt. It's an uphill battle. I lose my mind thinking about how simple the solution is, and yet doctors, government officials refuse to recognize it. Oh, you got a headache? Have some cocaine about it, no doubt. Yeah, you got some ghosts in your blood. Here's some fucking heroin. You're right. It's sad, and social media makes it hard to educate. I had a doctor after my accident tell me cannabis can cause seizures. While half out of it, I guess I said, you're telling that to the wrong person. My wife laughed at him. It's almost as if doctors and government officials are motivated not to support cannabis as medicine. Hard to argue that. RSO changed how Nolan's seizures looked. They didn't last as long, and he came out of them quicker. They want to make it look like a recreational drug that's useless for medicinal purposes. That's hard to argue, too. No one gives... Good morning, Kimberly Mahoney. No one gives a shit about who's first to market. It's probably the first shittiest meds on the market. Well, that certainly was the case. That shit wasn't cured. As a matter of fact, Steve asked a question yesterday on Facebook, and this is how fucking ignorant I am to large commercial grow operations. Steve asked a question, do commercial operators cure their weed? And I couldn't believe. First off, the first person to say no, it's about getting it to market, was somebody who is a cultivator and runs a garden for one of the largest cultivators, and said no. That to me seems crazy. That to me seems fucking real crazy. I guess in the beginning, if it's just all a race and it was just people trying to get to the market first, I guess I understand that they didn't, but it blew me away. I could not believe that the weed's not being cured. Matter of fact, I stood in that cultivator's curing room. What they talked about being the curing room. I stood in the room. I think I have pictures of it. So, what? Anyway, I was dancing at 100 comments, not the hour. We were an hour in, but there were 100 comments kind of came in before the hour. So, where the fuck is Steve? He's busy, I guess. You did great. Yeah, Poppy, shake that dick. That's great, Craig. Holy shit. Bless them. 2 raccoons? 2 raccoons. First medical cannabis conference just before medical pass. You got that right. You can do anything, include boof a raccoon or 2. Never doubt yourself. Yep, you are only limited by your belief. I want to know who figured out you can fit 2 adult raccoons in there. I've seen some big motherfucking raccoons in my day. It's a math equation. I believe they're basing this on what a raccoon can squeeze into, right? Because I believe the average adult human anus can stretch up to 7 inches in diameter. I'm going to have to fact check this. I don't have a live fact checker today. My fact checker's not in. But I believe it's 7 inches in diameter. Let's see. Hey, man, do you have my car keys? We already went over that. First responder PTSD is on the same level as a soldier's. No fucking doubt. Maybe worse. $1 trillion can buy a lot of trees. Got that right. Consultants that pretend to not want to profit off patients, but yet are doing just that. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Hi, Rob Glow, John Cena. A wall of greats. I hope to be on a wall like that one day. To be an unknown legend is a dream of mine. Thank you, man. We love Skittles. He's so fresh and so clean. We need to look at what curing does and why we do it. Most cultivators think drying is curing. One cultivator came out and said that all of their flower is cured in glass jars for a minimum of 3 weeks before it is sold to the dispensaries or the manufacturers. And I don't know what the level of that's really. I'm not sure how much that matters. I don't know when it comes to sending it to manufacturers or anything like that. But I mean, I know how curing makes other things better, right? I know how curing makes meats better. I know how curing makes tobacco better. Curing makes a lot of things better. It locks in flavor. Yeah. So I would love to hear why, but it is what it is. We have been talking a lot today. I'm just trying to have a conversation worth talking about. There's a ton of misinformation regarding curing out there. Kush Coach, I'd love to pick your brain on it, pal. American Cannabis Nursing Association, ACNA. Good for you, Kimberly Mahoney. Let's see. The doctors were scratching their head when I said my headaches are almost gone when I smoke the ganja. After 7 pills a day, they couldn't say no, but they couldn't say yes. The doctors just said don't stop what helps you. Yeah, that seems to be the consensus on anybody that's having those conversations. The cure matters, but there are different ways to achieve a good cure. Follow the science of raccoon boofing. Follow the science. Follow the science. I think, yeah, and it's a math situation too. We're going to talk a couple quick little hitters, and then we're gonna take a quick break, and then I'm gonna get Makate on the horn, and we're gonna have a little conversation today. I'm a big Makate fan. A man. Here, this one will make anybody who has taken a bath in the cryptocurrency market. This will make anyone feel better. come unlock the door. I have a surprise for you. Oh, I don't think I locked the door, but I'm about to go to break, baby, so give me just a second. You know what, guys? I'm going to go to break. When we come back, I'm going to talk a couple of quick things. I'm going to let my wife in here, and then we're going to get Makate on the horn. We're going to have a blast. I love you guys, and we'll see you on the other side of the break.
James Carlton Insurance 314-961-4800.
Handsome,
Amazing,
astonishing,
astounding,
fabulous,
incredible,
fantastical,
phenomenal,
prodigious,
stupendous,
unbelievable,
wondrous,
divine.
fantastical.
No, seriously, he's fantastical.
You got a house.
Go on and get it insured.
You got a car.
You gotta get it insured.
You got a life.
Go on and get it insured. CarltonInsurance.net.
Fantastic. Stupendous. Fantastic.
Hey, boys and girls, I'm talking about native hemp extract. That CBD.
That CBD.
Get inside of me.
Inside of me.
That CBD.
That CBD.
Sweet delicious CBD. That CBD.
That CBD.
Got the CBD. CBD native hemp. That CBD.
That CBD.
You can get it from me.
I can.
That CBD.
That CBD.
Inside of me.
Inside of me.
That CBD.
That CBD.
Get inside of me.
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 No. Inside of me.
Inside of me.
Inside of me.
Native hemp extract. 1,800 milligrams of total cannabinoid goodness from Pike County, Illinois. Get yours at HoosierSophisticate.com.
I'm an outlaw, check it and see. Want a poster looking like me. Checking the swamp man for a pretty girl. Being an outlaw in an outlaw world.
Hey, I'm an outlaw, check it and see. Want a poster looking like me. Walking my hound dog, serving that swamp. Catching crow that do the sweetly stomp. Everybody do the sweetly stomp.
It's a stomp, it's a wiggle, turn around, a little tickle. It's a stomp, move your feet, head on down to Sweet Leaf. Head on down to Sweet Leaf. Head on down to Sweet Leaf.
Dude, man, get on down to Sweet Leaf Emporium and do that Sweet Leaf stomp, man.
James Carlton. James Carlton. James Carlton. You gotta get your insurance. Gotta get that State Farm insurance.
You think you found the best insurance agent in the game? Well, I got news for you. I did, and it's James Carlton. State Farm. CarltonInsurance.net.
961
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Check out this little smoke show. The surprise that everyone was wondering about was sight.
You're welcome.
You gave me sight, baby.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Crypto's boning Dennison up. So I just wanted to tell this story here. James Howells, an IT worker in the United Kingdom, babe, is offering his local municipality $70 million to dig up a hard drive he threw away in 2013. Excuse me. Why? Well,
Is it his native? I was gonna say his. You got hair all over you. His,
Nobody can see it.
His alien. Is it? Oh, you go ahead.
well, I'll tell you what it contains. It contains 7,500 bitcoins, which are worth about $275 million in today's rates. The news comes after a programmer in San Francisco found that he only had 2 password guesses left to recover 7,002 bitcoins, also worth nearly $250 million.
Wow.
I offer to donate 25% or 52.5 million pounds to the city of Newport in order to distribute to all local residents who live in Newport should I find and recover the bitcoins. Howells asked Newport City Council for special permission to dig up a specified section, so the landfill site in question. This would work out approximately 175 pounds per person for the entire city. Let's see. Howells told CNN, unfortunately, they refused this offer and won't even have a face-to-face discussion with me on the matter. Meanwhile, they're probably like they're looking for that some bit. Well, they can't open it anyway. But that's a lot of dough, man. Of course, I read that wrong this morning, and I thought it read $275 billion in the beginning, which would have made him the richest man in the world. That would have really what a fucking idiot is what Dennis says. Look at that Hoosier. Good morning, Missy. Your beautiful bride is such a sweet soul. Forrest Palmer is sold on Carlton Insurance now. You should be. If you live in Missouri or Illinois and you're not using James Carlton State Farm for your insurance, you are missing out on the greatest insurance experience of your life.
And he's a really good guy, and his wife is wonderful, and his children are lovely. So
Which all helps.
That.
That's pretty much who we do business with around here.
Yeah.
You look great today.
Thank you. Yeah. I have 75,000 things to do today.
What are you going to do today?
Want
to talk about?
All kinds of stuff I don't want to talk about on the internet.
Fair.
Okay.
That's fair. I've lost that filter, babe.
I know. I'm aware. You're just talking about the size of adult raccoons.
That is science. That is science. That is nothing I can be held accountable for.
Certainly not you.
Somebody. I'm gonna look it up right now. Somebody wants to know how.
We have
can
very large raccoons, like medium dog-sized raccoons, and it is 7 inches.
Yes, so the human anus can stretch up to 7 inches before taking damage, and a raccoon can squeeze into holes as tight as 4 inches, meaning you can
Google says believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Google says believe in yourself.
You can almost take 2 full raccoons. But you could take like a raccoon and what's a baby raccoon? A kit?
I don't know.
What's a baby raccoon
You're
called?
the person who knows all these things. I rely on you for information
Baby
such as this.
raccoon is called Kit. Look at me go. Man.
Told you.
I'll tell you.
He's my external hard drive.
I am.
If you find him, you get $70 million.
I'm Missy's Hoosier Google. Hoogle. I'm her Hoogle. There you go. Mike said it's a kit. It's a kit. Or a cub. Cub is also acceptable
they have cute little hands, y'all.
nomenclature. And we have a family of raccoons. And I really don't have a problem with them eating my trash. I just have a problem with them leaving it in my fucking front yard.
There's a mess in our front yard every morning.
Every day.
Thank you,
jerks.
raccoons.
What a bunch of jerks.
What time is Makate?
Makate is calling in 10 minutes, and I'm
very good.
super
Okay.
excited to have a conversation with him. He asked me, what do you want to talk about? And babe, you've seen it closer than anybody. You know, like all this talk, it's been a little heavy for a couple weeks.
Yeah, it has been a little
And
heavy. I thought you did a really good job of handling it this morning.
I'm just
if
trying
my
to make.
opinion counts.
Well, I appreciate you, baby. You're my
Yeah.
number one fan. That's for sure.
It's true.
So you know, with that, with the idea that just everything's been a little heavy, and when you're mired in negativity and you're going about communicating in a negative way, it's really hard to achieve the goals that you're trying to achieve.
Certainly.
So,
Certainly.
The first
And let's
way,
be honest, like pettiness feels kind of good.
it feels great in the moment.
It does.
But pettiness for me is a loaded gun, and you know, you probably know better than anybody. I'm gonna say some shit that's gonna hurt somebody, and it's gonna be hard to unsay it. And so the first thing I can do to get back on my love path, to get back on that high road that I like to take, is offer an apology, offer an olive branch,
Sure.
And also kind of
Redirect attention. Yeah.
redirect attention and set boundaries.
I think that's fair.
I need to set boundaries on who I think are currently the people acting in bad faith, and who the people who are maybe taking offense to what we're saying, taking some shrapnel just from us dropping bombs, because it's happening. I've heard from a couple of people in the industry, people that I really do love and respect. And I was telling everybody earlier, I don't know if you heard the part, but like, I was sideways with Wendy Turner yesterday.
You were?
I never want to be sideways with Wendy Turner. I adore the Turner family.
Absolutely.
We were arguing over fucking what I felt to be unimportant and you
Was
know,
this the FICO
distract.
versus
It was.
RSO
It
conversation?
was,
I
and
see.
I feel as though we each had, and actually Wendy came to my defense in the first part and said, let's not lose sight.
I love you, Wendy.
We all love Wendy. Let's not lose sight of what the conversation is. She was the first one to say that, but then I kind of dug in as this other gal kind of dug in, and it just got to a point where I'm like, okay, this is great. I don't want to spend any more time arguing with you two. You clearly both know that FICO is medicine. You both know that we need to get it to people.
Wendy
One
more
of you,
than anybody, for sure, yeah.
you know, have you saved your child with it when there was no avenues for it? Your child is the reason that Crohn's.
Her child and many other children.
Her child is the reason that Crohn's is an accepted medical condition for cannabis in the state of Colorado.
Yeah.
Period. Colton Turner is the reason why Crohn's it can be treated legally by cannabis in many states.
Mhm.
I have no quarrel with fucking Wendy. I never had a quarrel with Wendy. I love Tommy and Wendy. I love all their kids. I love their family. If they called me tomorrow and said they
cousin
need
is
some,
my best friend, actually.
Wendy's cousin's your best friend. Tommy's cousin's your best friend. Wendy's cousin by law.
But I mean,
yeah, I know.
They've been married as long as she's been alive.
I guess Cass is your cousin too.
Also,
so
yes.
We get it. All right, so
everybody's my cousin. Yeah.
we all cousins. So I got sideways, and then also, you know.
Did you reach out to her personally though?
I did.
Okay, good.
I apologized in public forum.
Oh, okay.
I like I said, you know what, guys? I'm jaded right now. I
Yeah.
am jaded, and I'm snippy.
It's hard not to be jaded if you're paying attention. And I'm not a subject matter expert by any stretch of the imagination. I'm a lightweight on every front in this, right? I just organize the parties, y'all. But yeah, like, it's a difficult thing to not be upset about when, like, you know, you said something and Steve has said something over and over again, which is like, where are these people at these funerals?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're at these funerals as a family, and it's devastating to see the casket that's this big. It changes your life to see the casket that's that big, and maybe in a way that's good, and also maybe in a way that's tragically bad, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't require an attaboy.
Certainly not.
That's not what I'm looking for. I
No.
don't need credit for having been doing this for years. I don't want any of that. I just want what we should all want, which is a healthy market. You know, a market that takes care of its patients, because everybody, the way that we appealed to our grandparents and to our aunts and uncles, the way that we appealed to get them to vote for this program was that it was life-saving medicine, and it was about time that they got on board with that.
Yes.
And then, as soon as we do it, then people act not in accordance with that with that ideal,
Yeah.
and it becomes a recreational market. And I
Yes.
want recreational. I want recreational everything. I don't believe it's the government's place to tell us what we can put in our body, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
And I think that people have to search for consistency in their beliefs on each side of the aisle about what they're comfortable with the government telling us what we can and can't do. I think that when we really get into principle and liberty, and we defend those ideas, even when someone is trying to exercise those rights in a way that aren't in accordance with our views, that it's harder to do it then. But still, if you find a way to defend the principle of the situation, it's a lot easier to find consistency and common ground, and that's where we find our allies. I thought cannabis was going to be a great connector between two parties, right? Matter of fact, the new full rec bill was put forth by a Republican representative, and the way that it reads should be. I mean, honestly, I would think the most liberal of liberals would be excited about how it reads, just because of the language is wide open for all of us to participate in this, for there to be as much medicine as possible. It should never. Our program can't be that good if it costs us $100 a month for a temporary license in Oklahoma, and you can buy that and still go to Oklahoma and afford medicine by paying $100 just to pay $100 to go buy there. You can't tell me that program's all that good. Either which way, my point is, I'm trying to get into and apologize to as many people as possible.
So the bottom line of this, though, is that if one of our kids, knowing what we know and being as front and center in the industry as Hoosier Sophisticate is, knowing what we know, if one of our kids were diagnosed with cancer tomorrow, I would definitely not be seeking the legal market for help.
You couldn't.
You can't, right? Like, I would get my kids help, but it would be, this law was passed in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
November of 18.
Yeah, it's 2021, and people can't get medicine for their kids, and that's where I'm a mom. Like, I'm watching my son's great grandma die of multiple types of cancer right now because she's terrified of breaking the law, or of somehow, like, maybe her assets being seized and her children and grandchildren not getting their inheritance. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the conversations that we have. And I know many of you probably have those conversations as well. But yeah, I sincerely in my heart of hearts believe that anybody who wants to smoke pot recreationally is. Weed, cannabis, marijuana, whatever you want to call it, those people are already doing that, right? And so this is about little children, and this is about our grandparents not dying in pain, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if they still die from the cancer, they don't have to be in pain and suffering from the cancer. It's completely unnecessary. We're smarter than this, right?
Agreed.
We're smarter than this.
Agreed. So, do you want to come say hi real quick, bud, on camera? Why don't you come say hi?
Oh, he's...
Come over here. Come stand right here between me and Mom.
Oh. Say hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
This is Trevor. This is our youngest, and he's along for the ride.
True Hoosier. True son.
Hoosier. Yeah, he's a true son. That's right. Okay.
I'm going to go get him set up again.
You got it. Sounds great.
Oh,
So, not to digress and redirect too much, but so anyway, I know I don't want to get to the point where we're beating a dead horse, and I promise we will start covering some different stuff when we can afford to. In the meantime, we're going to have Makate calling in here any minute. We're going to talk about love. And we're going to talk about what it means. And, man, he is posting some video. If you guys, you got to follow Makate, Makete, 3 times, on Instagram. His pictures, I mean, I know I've shown some on the page before as we've talked to him. But it's unbelievable. He's as close to heaven as any of us have been. So let me see here. We're gonna have. I got a whole studio here at my.
That's really cool.
At my hands. So I just want to make sure that all of our sound is going to be rocking and rolling when we get him on the horn.
Great.
Hey guys, we know you're trying to help. It's just hard for those of us stuck in the middle trying to do that. Ashley, when I came here to eat a little crap this morning and apologize, I have you at the front of my mind. I have you at the front of my mind quite often. And I know why you are a part of this. I know where your heart's at. I know how much you do to help, and you are no enemy of mine. And Route 66 Wellness is no enemy of mine. Different, like I said, different people that have caught shrapnel. It's not on them. It's not on you guys to sell medicine that you don't have access to. I get it. And we're trying real hard to somehow amplify our voice and your voice in this, because I know that there are people affected by this that need medicine that did get licenses and still can't do anything about it. There are a very select few people putting locking the gates on this entire market, and they need to be held accountable. And I hope that when it shakes out and as more people come on, people choose not to use their brands. I hope that people choose not to use these national brands that prioritized, distillate candy and soda as a way to get these big national brands in Missouri versus getting just easy crude oil. And I think that we will get to that point. In the meantime, it's going to take a couple people pounding their chest a little bit to get anything to change. And I'll tell you what, last night there was a post from Clover about Keef brand soda, and I don't think enough of myself or of any of this to think that, but I'll tell you this, every comment on it demanded FICO and RSO. Every single one of them. And so there might have been one person who said, oh, hey, that's cool, when you're going to bring some concentrates in, and those were the only ones that Clover responded to. But they hear us. And I also realize that I'm more likely to get something that I want if I use manners and I fucking lay it out there and I say, please, I've yelled enough. Please, I'm now begging you to do this for people that I love. Can you please do this? You're the only person. You're one of two people that can do this. And I hope that a meeting that I have this week really is going to change some stuff. There's no way they didn't hear him last night. Exactly right. Your social media post comes out and everybody does it. I feel as though, I feel like they heard us. Now, whether or not they decide to prioritize the needs of the people is irrelevant. Is someone up there? Is that Jason? Okay, good. Okay, we're good. Let's see here. I'm gonna make a little phone call. Makate. Hang on one second, buddy. Hang on a second, buddy. Kregate. Hey, talk to me real quick there, Makate. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna take you up just hot mic like fire. Hot mic like fire.
Oh, I hear another Steve. Your voice sounds different.
Yeah. Steve got way hotter, bud. Steve got way hotter. Makate, where do you?
Makate, I have a feeling that that's mutual.
Yeah,
across
for sure.
the board, all the
for
way.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's probably stronger in his favor.
Everybody watching at home, just let me know if you guys can hear Makate okay. It would break my heart to know that you couldn't. They call him Takate is what they said.
Takate. Testes. 1, 2, 3.
I like it. All right, let's try that right there. Okay, pal. I think we're in good shape here. So we talked about last night. We said, what are we going to talk about today, Makate? And we can kind of hear him. It's a bit muffled. All right, I promise you, the next time you hear from Makate, it's going to be so crystal clear. Okay, it's going to be the greatest thing that you ever hear. But for right now, it's going to be okay. They say it's a little quiet, but I think we're going to get through it. I'm going to see if I can't turn you up on this one a little bit. All right. Okay.
Just tell them that's just the sound of my voice. It's like how Bigfoot is actually just blurry.
Is that true?
Yeah, Bigfoot. That's the problem. That's what. Do you guys know Mitch Hedberg, the comedian? he says that's extra scary because there's a big out-of-focus monster out there.
I like that. I love that.
Maybe he's
actually.
interdimensional and he can't make his way all the way into the third dimension, and that's why he's fuzzy.
Maybe so.
That's right. Who else are we talking to here?
This is my wife, Missy.
I figured that's who that was. We're Facebook friends. You probably know that.
Hello.
Hey.
Mock.
Good to meet you in voice.
Good to meet you in voice. I like that. Did I see that Mad Hallelujah Tribe's got a new single coming out soon? Is that or album or what?
Yes, sir. Valentine's Day, the day I was conceived.
You were conceived on Valentine's Day? That is
Does
romantic.
that make you a Scorpio? Are you a Scorpio then?
I am a Scorpio.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't give off. You don't give off big Scorpio.
No, I'm not a
energy.
Scorpio, but I got a lot of Scorpios in my life.
All the Scorpios in our lives, bud. She's another water sign though. She's a Cancer. I'm surrounded by. I'm just boiling you water signs all up with my hot Leo heat.
Oh, are you a Leo?
Of course, I'm a Leo. I'm the Portuguese. I'm the Portuguese peacock, bud.
Portuguese peacock?
That's.
Our friend made a beer for him for our wedding, and it was the Portuguese. What was it?
Yeah, Portuguese peacock.
The Portuguese peacock. Yeah.
That's what they called it. Good morning, Jason. We're doing well. We're.
Well, guys, I want to tell you something about my zodiac, though. You know how people are like gender fluid?
Sure.
Well, I'm zodiac fluid.
That's okay.
I am also zodiac fluid. I am because I'm a.
Go for it.
I was going to say I'm a Cancer with a Sagittarius rising, and so I have water and fire that I lean into pretty deeply.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly that. Exactly that. Yes.
So what does being a
Zodiac
fluid mean to you, Makate?
Well, it's mostly a joke, but I say I was born a Scorpio, but I as a Leo.
Okay.
You do put off a very strong Leo vibe.
Agreed. It's all the unabashed dancing you've been doing the last
He's also got great hair.
last couple weeks. Yeah, you got a lion's mane on you, buddy. You do. You got a lion's mane on you. Hey, go ahead.
Is there a way to turn me down just in room over there? Because
Yes. Can you hear your echo? I'm on it. I'm on it, bud.
Yeah.
Oh, you got it. Just pull that plug.
Boom. Cool. That's time for me to focus. Now I can focus.
Cool.
I got the collars.
You got the collars now. I'm real quiet in there. That's okay. All right. Okay, Makate. Here's the deal, bud. Last night you asked me, what do you want to talk about, Craig? And I said, well, Makate, I think that, especially, I think today on Inauguration Day, as we are...
I forgot today was inauguration.
As we, as the company, as the country seems a little, I don't know, divided, I guess. It seems like as good a time as any to really reach into love, to reach for love, because I feel as though it's fear that divides us, right?
Yeah.
And so I want to know what that looks like. What are some things that you do to remind yourself? I think to be human is to be jaded sometimes, and to feel maybe targeted by certain policy or by certain people, and we are very polarized right now as a populace. So what are some things that you do to kind of reach into love and in times of when fear is the flavor of the week?
I like that. Fear is the flavor of the week. Yeah, that's really great because the way you phrased that, because actually I keep thinking one of the week's topics should be like daily ritual. Like what? Because that's ultimately what it is, you know. And I know we both have an affinity for ceremonial space, right?
Absolutely.
But ceremony itself, and we always say this, is the easy part. Once the ceremony, the actual ceremony's over, it's like that was the easy part. The hard part is the ceremony of life, is the ceremony of day to day. Because you're not in a space where everyone's just doing their deep personal work and it's supported and it's contained.
you got to go out into the world. I mean, I know I'm just preaching to the choir, you know, not to reference Sister Act again, but
you can reference Sister Act every day on this show, pal.
Okay.
Sister Act is alive and well.
And real quick, let me just interject real quick. The sound is fixed. Everybody should be able to hear him a lot better now. I fixed it, so we're good.
Thanks, babe.
You sound great.
Cool. Yeah. So in order to reference Sister Act again, which that's going to be a new thing now. In order to reference Sister Act again. Yeah, that's my main thing I do to go back to love is I watch Sister Act 2.
Perfect.
No, it's about because a lot of us are doing our personal work, right? But we can go to have these profound experiences, then we go out in the world and realize, well, not everyone else is doing that. So how do we keep that high, you know, I don't know, for lack of a better word, vibration, you know, that state of love and gratitude that you're talking about? I think it comes down to first of all, your community, which keeps coming up. I mean, you guys always talk about that. Who is your community? Because we have to remind each other, right? Like the whole game is the forgetting and remembering. And sometimes it's really hard to remember on your own. And that's why we have mirrors in each other. Like, I'm sure you two are incredible mirrors for each other in that way. Am I right in saying that?
I think it took about 25 calendar years for me to convince him of that, but finally he came around about
25 calendar years. And is that 25 calendar years in the 12 years that you've known each other?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Just a little less than 12 years. Yeah.
You know that time is just something we've made up anyway, right? So it took 25
Exactly.
years.
Is that true? The convincing of the mirrors?
I think that I was a little slow coming to different. My wife's the smartest person in the world, Makate. You should know that. And it
Yeah,
took me a
I
long
believe
time
it.
to concede that throne because. But honestly, when I first met this gal, I think I was still I still had a toe in the Jesus waters, you know, in my Catholic upbringing, and I would see the things that she would post, and
You could just tell him about our very first conversation, I
they
think.
really challenged me. Her ideas challenged me, but also I'm pretty adept at arguing the contrarian point of view of pretty much anything, and so
Right.
I found myself kind of poking holes in different big ideas that she had, and she was unwavering. And honest, and then
Right.
it didn't take me that long to figure out. It took me a little while. It took me 25 years inside of 10 to kind of grab onto some things. Because one of the things that is really hard to do is talk about magic matter-of-factly when you don't think you're capable of magic.
Well, I think that the problem there is that we have this skewed idea of what magic actually is, and it's truly alchemy within your own life, right? And it's the ability to master your energetic properties and sway things in the way that you hope that they go, right? And so we have this Harry Potter magic wand idea of what magic is, and that's just not the case, right?
Yeah, I think
Right.
I think that's part of it. I think that when people talk that's exactly right. When she talked about magic, I had this idea of somebody shooting lightning bolts out of their hands. And let's be honest, only Sith shoot lightning bolts out of their hands. The Jedi would never do that.
Ever.
And so maybe some dark magicians, maybe they do that. But she.
Oh, you said doo-doo. That's funny.
she was talking about ideas that were just so outside of my belief structure, and then around the time, well, actually, the first night we met was one of the darkest days of my life, and that was the day of a funeral of my cousin's 9-year-old kid, and it was an Irish wake. I was on like a 3-day bender, and I was insufferable, and she hated me. And then from there, I don't think we saw each other for about another year, and a friend's wedding is what brought us. A friend's wedding brought us together. It was a full year.
Was it a calendar year?
It was another 12 years after.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, by the way that we're counting the years in our relationship, yeah, it was easily another decade. And then and so at that point though, we had been talking, and she was kind of, she was talking about ideas that really intrigued me, because I had come to plant medicine roughly around that time, and it had opened my eyes up a little bit. But I was jaded. When she and I first met, I was using drugs, and not the good kind. I was kind of lost, and I was as far away from God as I'd ever been in my life. And I was a kid that just bought in to the magic of God and the spirituality, and I really did. Like, I thought I was going to work. I didn't want to be just like a run-of-the-mill priest either. I wanted to be like James Woods and John Carpenter's vampires. And actually one of my uncles was an exorcist for the Vatican, and so like there were these like cool jobs.
Really?
Yeah, there were like these cool jobs that existed within the church that like they were magic jobs, right? Like they were magic jobs. They were like, I'm like, hey, that's a legit paladin, And so I thought that was kind of my course. Anyway, that was early on in life. But as I'd been more jaded and things kind of looked dark around me, and I made pretty bad decisions in my early 20s and was dealing with the consequences of those decisions, and then my dad got sick, I was as far away from God as possible, and plants brought me back to God. Plants and fungi brought me back to God, and now it was changing my idea of God.
Yes.
And so that was kind of a weird thing, but it was my now wife, and then crush, who was making me understand, that God was this bigger idea and wasn't this, this bearded guy in the sky that wanted to punish me.
Yeah, and it's just so far beyond what average people call God.
Yeah.
We need a different
It was
word.
bigger. Yeah, God was bigger than what people allowed me to believe as a kid.
And I think that's why a lot of people who were raised, like one of my bandmates, Daniel, was raised Seventh-day Adventist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what's that?
Yes. Yeah. I know a couple of those.
Yeah, it's full on, eh? And he has a bit of a hang-up around using that word because it has so much of a connotation, like God means in that sect, and I think most Christian religions has this. It's not proposed as, oh, this is the all-encompassing, all-infused. There's no difference between the creator and the creation type of energy, right? It's like it's the singer and the song.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We're not taught that. We're taught that God is other. And now what we can do is come circle back around, and what you were saying about fear is separation. And there is a lot of fear, I think, related to God. Not always, but it's also an illusion of separateness.
Totally.
And if I want to touch on what you were saying about Jesus, like, I was raised Catholic, of course. I was raised in St. Louis. Went to Catholic school. And I got way away from all of it too. And then I've done like more esoteric studying in recent years on I guess esoteric mystic Christianity, which is actually more like Essenes, which were the mystics of the time.
Mary and Joseph, yeah.
And all of them, the whole family. And what they're not saying, and like worship this other thing or worship this other person even.
Right.
What they're trying to say is like, find that in yourself. That's the whole point. And you have that in you.
Totally. And so it's not necessarily, it is the separation of us from God, but it's also our unworthiness and the guilt and the rigmarole that we have to go through to be worthy of God's love and the sacrifices that we have to make. And so I also have a wildly esoteric education, and I think that ultimately my job is giving people permission to know that their pursuit of worthiness is not evil or sin in some way.
Yeah.
It's not wrong
Right.
to know that you are the living, breathing embodiment of what we call God.
Yes, exactly. Right. And so often I think no matter how much work we do, people still don't feel worthy. And it's like, no, you are that. That's actually your birthright. And it doesn't matter what you've done in your life. Like, you're already that. There's a great, there's an artist I've been listening to, a musician named Nick Mulvey. And he's got this great line, which is, everything I was looking for, I was looking through. It's like, you're looking for it, but you're already looking at it, and it's looking through you. Like, it's already happening. You are already it. You are that which you seek, right? And that's like, it's a really simple concept, but it's actually hard to wrap your head around if you spent your whole life not thinking that.
100%. And what's interesting is you said, we were taught of the separateness of God, but what's crazy is like, as a kid, you can't point out like kind of the hypocrisy of that statement because they're constantly telling us that God is everywhere and God is everything. He's omnipresent, omnipotent.
Yeah.
He's but then also you're not him, and that doesn't jive, right? So like there was just the missing link, right? We always talk about the missing link in evolution, but very rarely do we talk about the missing link of our connectedness to God. And so what structured religion did was they said, okay, well, God gave us his only son, and his only son is our connector to this thing, to him. And if we honor his son, then we honor him. But his son is we. His son is us. And when you look at Christ the man, and I firmly believe that whatever the infinite looks like after this, and I feel as though I've seen several glimpses of it, and honestly, most of them were all pretty wonderful, great places that I felt home at, and again, that kind of helped me keep from fearing my mortality. Can you shut that door, please? But sorry, I got sidetracked here by a customer coming in. We got to a point where I am trying to marry. I've seen the infinite, and what I've seen has made me not fear death, and as a matter of fact, has brought me closer to God. And if that is an understanding that I am God, that's fine. And I understand how hard that is for people to hear. I try to speak about that in a way that's kind of responsible, right? I know how that stuff stings and makes people kind of wince when you hear somebody do that, because I was one of those kids that thought, people that talked like that were blasphemers, were heretics. And
except for the priests who said God is absolutely real.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, and that's the deal. But I also believed on, and I don't know that, it was some of the stories that they told. It wasn't until I looked at them as more what's the word? Metaphorical than set in stone, that I was able to actually understand the message. Before, it was like hearing, well, how come God tapped these certain people, and that is the law, but anybody that says God told them to do that now is crazy. Weren't there people when Moses came down from a mountain? Weren't there people that said, this guy is crazier than, he's nuttier than squirrel shit? Like, what is he even talking about?
Right.
All the problems, there was always going to be someone who thought they were crazy.
No doubt.
And I think that's an amazing thing to say, is because like we study this book, and there's all this like, God told me to do this, and God said this, and blah blah blah, and like that was okay, and then God told me to write this, but then somehow if you do that in the modern world, I don't know, maybe I think there's plenty of people who will believe you. People, be like, yeah, cool, you received a download, essentially. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot of people who will be like, oh, no, God only talks to people 2,000 years ago and beyond. But You know, we lost our.
Well, there wasn't any Facebook fact checkers in 2000 BC.
Right, yeah,
So, like, if
yeah,
Moses
they know.
came down with a couple of tablets, it wasn't going to get flagged saying that it was, this is partly false.
Missing content.
Yeah, this is missing context. Yes.
Right.
How funny.
Makate, I got to thinking about talking about the medicine and plants, and I've listened to some different medicine people and healers talk about how there are Amazonian curanderos that believe that the medicine is making itself easier to access. In order to actually affect some healing, right? Like it's the way that the earth can communicate what needs to happen in order for us to live in symbiosis.
Absolutely.
And I gotta think that there's quite a bit to that, and I've also my understanding of the medicine, of God, of all of this has also opened my mind to these different medicines that aren't necessarily found in jungle plants or in fungi. Like I've had as healing of an experience on LSD, kind of on accident, as I have for a ayahuasca ceremony that I prepared for 6 weeks for, leading up to it and meditated on the whole time. And it just, like, every now and then, this thing that's in these chemicals that make up our body, they have a way of communicating these different things or catalyzing, I guess, if that's a word, some actual real change in thought and belief structure. I mean, it wasn't all that long ago. I had, and I try to avoid taking psychedelics recreationally. Psychedelics can be fun, but I also preach about set and setting and how important it is to have to have an idea of why you're doing what you're doing, to do things mindfully and not mindlessly. And I think McKenna actually talked about that a little bit. Like it's one thing to, like, nobody should just casually be taking any of these things just because. Like, even if you're trying to have some fun with friends, still kind of have an idea of what you're working on, And
the word we need is container. There.
Okay.
You have to. The word that I would use there is container. You have to create a container, or actually, it can be really dangerous.
Yeah.
It can be fun. I've actually witnessed things get into people, and I've watched switches flip in people because the container was not held properly.
Yep.
So even if you're just having fun, that you can go to the forest and have fun, but create an energetic container for the experience to happen within. And then once you've done that, in all sincerity, the hilarity can happen. But
absolutely,
it happens within a safe container.
Totally, and the way that we can prepare ourselves for that is through, in my professional and personal opinion, is through deep meditation. And you talk about using plant medicines as a catalyst to get to that space. I wholeheartedly agree in that. Obviously, I'm married to Craig Kohler, right? However, however, I was very, 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 very late to that game. I was very, very, very much an established adult by the time I got to that space. And so I didn't have that recreational background that everybody else did when they were teenagers and or in their 20s even. And so what I know, and the way that I knew to release DMT within my own body, and the way that I was taught from my metaphysical schools, were to go into deep meditation and holotropic breathing, and to be able to access that space through my silence versus through and there are many different forms. You can use drumming as a form to get to that space. But I do believe that you need to be prepared. I do believe that you need to do all of your research. You need to be the expert before you go into that space on set and setting. You need to be the expert on the chemical composition of what's happening within your brain that's making everything so beautiful or so treacherous, right? Also, you're charged with seeking out the correct shaman for you, and shaman is a word that we use, and I think that we need to use it more. And I think that we have to, and you were talking earlier about how the medicine is making itself more available to people, and the very first shaman I ever met was like 14th generation Peruvian brilliance, and then he came to the U.S. and got his PhD in psychiatry because he knew that was the only way that we would take him seriously in the West, in the Northern West, and he was my introduction into that space, and I'm so grateful to have had that. But had he not had that PhD, I would have definitely looked down my Western nose, right? And so if you want to have that experience, if you want to have that journey, you are charged with knowing what you need to know to get into that space, certainly. Personal responsibility in all ways, radical responsibility in all ways.
Yeah, and totally being with, depending what we're talking about, being with someone who's been there a lot is really helpful, and because they help create the container. They know what that means.
No doubt.
And they know how, they can remind you there's a beginning, a middle, and an end to this journey, if need be. and every multitude of things. And then ultimately, in a super ceremonial space, they got the songs, and they're carrying the ancient songs. And those songs, some of them are like scalpels.
Totally.
They 100% are. Darts. Yeah.
Yeah, and like the container that you've created is the boat, and the plants are the boat. But the songs are the wind that steer that boat, that steer that ship, that push the sails in whatever direction it needs to go in that moment. I agree. The songs are so important. That is the importance of music. And what I was going to say too is, like, yes, the plants are making themselves more available, and it's co-creatively happening with the lineages of humans themselves, and these traditions are realizing the importance that this needs to be shared now. For thousands and thousands of years, both plant medicine and just tradition in general, whether it's, the tribal drumming or a lot of these ceremonial ways, they were kept secret, and for good reason, because these are powerful tools, and you don't just dilute them by just showing them to everyone. It's like when you receive a really powerful truth, sometimes it's best to not dilute it by speaking it immediately. It's better to cultivate it and tend to that seed. And these people, the Kogi in Colombia, who they live up in the mountains, they see themselves as the big brother to us, the northern kin. We're like their little sibling. Yeah. And they've been holding this high vibration, and the monks in the Himalayas, they're up there holding this vibration for all of Earth. They're holding the enlightened field for all of us to access, and they've been doing so for a long, long time. But now it's all right, little brother, little sister is kind of ruined. They're destroying the Earth rapidly. we now it's time for us to share, and they've done so very graciously. And I'm so grateful that these wisdom keepers that have carried things down for tens of thousands of years are willing to share their teachings with us so that we can all heal on an individual level and thus inspire the collective.
You said something that really rang true with me, which is it's important to have someone to remind you there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And I think for me, that right there is one of the most challenging things about this space for someone who's new to it. Is is this ever going to end? Is this just what my life is now? And the funny thing about it is none of us are ever above that. We have a situation where recently I'm in the space. It's pretty heavy. It wasn't a heavy dose that I took, but it was hitting it was about 4 doses that I took, and I remember sitting there saying, I remember sitting there being man, I don't know, something doesn't feel right. When is this going to end? When you're in the peak of this situation, and this is a space that I've been in forever, and then somebody else who is very close to me, who also does a lot of medicine work, was yeah, this is really strong. I feel like I'm still climbing. We may be, we may really be in for it. We might be still talking about this tomorrow. That's how heavy this felt. And then as it starts to kind of as it starts to kind of wean off a little bit as it starts to fall off, and it's only about a couple hours after that, which might feel like an eternity, might feel like 5 minutes,
12 years.
depending on what you're. Yeah, it might be 12 years, 25 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? And then I remember looking at my buddy and saying, "Oh yeah, it's almost like I planned this. You know, it's almost like I've been here before and knew exactly that we were going to be okay." But sometimes, you know, that's even the most traveled person can get lost in that infinite, and especially if there's a bunch of competing energies and anxieties to balance throughout the room, because you know, when people, my wife especially, my wife is an empath. She's a powerful empath. We can be driving down the highway and she's like, "Ooh, that person's sick in that car," and I'm like, "What?" You know, so like she's got these abilities that, like, because I had no frame of reference, I couldn't really relate to, and it was actually it very typically is the medicine space when I'm sitting in that space that I can take those feelings on. Now, I've always been really good at reading people when I come into a room, you know, playing poker, but feeling what they're feeling deep down in front of the face that they're, you know, I mean, just you know, I feel like the medicine taught me empathy as well. Roy, real quick, I'm going to go to the text line. Roy, we don't have a call-in number right now. We recently shut it down, but we are actually, because of who we have on the phone right now. Makate calls in every Wednesday for Potty Talk to Plant Medicine. It's a segment where we talk about Sister Act and ayahuasca. And Roy, I don't want you to feel alienated by this community. And the last thing I would want anybody to think is that it's an uninviting community. I would say you don't know the community very well if you feel that way. There's no call-in number, but we will have a call-in number, and if you tune in, we're here every morning from 7 to 10. You can always message in. We did have a voicemail line that I can set back up, but I'm going to have this set up so we will be able to take some call-in. Right now, it's kind of a one-man operation as we don't have a producer in studio for the morning shows, so it's a little bit tough. If you want to call in on Mondays or something, we can make that happen, Roy. But keep tuning back. This is where we talk about cannabis, and it's where we talk about plant medicine, and we hope that your feelings weren't hurt. Back to Makate.
So returning to
I love that, where we talk about Sister Act and ayahuasca.
I think that there's so much value in being humbled by the medicine. I think that, you know, and I tell people quite often in my own practice that if you know the true power of what you are, you have to be humbled by it. And, you know, we have this, and I know, Makate, I heard you on the show, I think 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about the value of having ego and the ridiculousness that is the ego death. And I think that you have to have an ego to have your teeth brushed and to be presentable and to be educated enough to have an intelligent conversation to spread the information, right? And so, go there, be big, be enormous, but also being humbled by the medicine is valuable to all people.
Oh, man, is it
all
ever.
People.
I find myself, and Makate, I don't know if you can relate to this, bud, but, you know, once you kind of find a familiarity in that space, for me, you know, I haven't had a real, I don't call them bad trips, we call them challenging trips, and I haven't had one for a long time, and the one time I had it was because I was being very irresponsible, and I broke all of my rules, and it broke me in a way that really had me reevaluating some things in my life. However, my integration over the course of the next week or two was better than any integration that I had had. And there is, I cannot preach this gospel enough, and that is, if for some reason fear is keeping it, the plants seem to be, or fungi seem to be calling to you, but the fear of seeing scary stuff is keeping you from doing it, just know that fear is temporary. You may see some very difficult things. You may feel some very difficult things. You may use senses you don't know that you have to experience difficult things. But when you come back to this reality, you will have a greater perspective of those things in a way that they can't hurt you anymore. And that is something that I cannot seem to get through to people. The people that psychedelics entheogens is what I prefer, because I truly believe that they are vehicles to God.
Totally.
The thing that keeps anybody, even people that still choose to do it but aren't quite getting the message, I think the thing that keeps them from doing that is insisting on having control.
Totally.
And until you become comfortable with the idea that you are safely out of control of this situation, you then become a student to the lesson, right? As long as you're trying to teach the lesson, you can't really learn it. And as soon as you kind of sit down and say, okay, this one's going to be tough, but I'm going to get through it. I'm 100% physically safe where I'm at. I'm surrounded by people I love. I'm in a safe environment. This medicine really presents no physical danger to me unless I go out and do something, unless I leave this container that I've created for myself.
Right.
As long as you are good with that, then be open to the idea that the scary stuff that might drum up from your past, or the anxieties that are attached to your mortality or whatever, all of those things are just there. What you see in them is you'll get a plan to attack them. I didn't know when my dad was sick. I didn't know what ayahuasca was going to do for me. I knew that I was going to ask it for understanding why I was in this situation. And that was going to be my intention, but I didn't know how it was going to do that. And frankly, I don't think there might have been one moment that really stands out as blatantly like about my dad, and that was his voice speaking to me, and then when integrating, having a conversation with my sister and her parroting what he said without me telling her what he said. And I was like, okay, that's big. That's a big thing that is like, that's more than just my crazy imagination, right? But more than that, it wasn't something that I heard or saw. It was something that I felt. It was something that I heard. It was something I saw. Something I tasted. It was something that I experienced with senses. I don't have sufficient language to explain to people in this dimension.
So the way that I would explain it personally is that, yes, you're going to battle with your demons, but you're given adequate armor. Like you're given the adequate tools to get through, and then once you've gone through hell, nothing in the third dimension can frighten you or take away your dignity or challenge you in a way that you've already challenged yourself. Like if you're going through hell, keep going, yes, but those demons, we talk about dancing with demons and making friends with our shadow, and I personally have a very literal experience with ayahuasca and making a demon, it's my demon. If I have angels, the math of this universe says for every action there's an equal and an opposite reaction, so I must also have demons. And while demons have been wildly demonized by the Catholic Church, they have also been a major propellant for me to move forward within my own life, because I don't have to fear myself anymore. I don't have to fear my husband's love for me as being something that might one day go away. I don't have to fear the death of my child, although that's a mother's worst nightmare. It was something that I was shown in ayahuasca, was my children being ripped apart by a pack of wild dogs, right? Like, and I'm realizing in that moment, like, I was the vessel that those babies came through. They don't belong to me, though. They belong to Source and to Source, or to themselves, and then they'll go back to that. They'll return to that, right? And so none of those things can be taken from me because I've earned my place spiritually, right? Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes, to touch on what you're both saying and around the fears of entering any sort of space that will essentially bring up your fear, right? There's fear around fear. But if your fear is not brought into the light, it has way more power over you because it's existing in your subconscious programming, which is playing out in your every action of every day because you are not looking at it. And if you are refusing to look at it, it's still going to be there. If you, just because you're not looking at it doesn't mean it's not there. And I think that's part of the reason that makes going into those kind of spaces, ceremonial spaces, scary for people, because they sense, wow, my fear might come to the surface. But by bringing it to the surface, you are taking away its power. By looking at something in the eyes, you remove its power over you. 100%. Now it's in the light. Now we're like, cool, we can either let go of this, or we can integrate it and realize that was part of ourselves, and now we can integrate it and look through different eyes. And I think part of what you were talking about, Greg, was being afraid of going in and things being scary. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, look, to tie in with what you said at the beginning of the show, it's like, look at some of the stuff that's happening in the world. That's pretty effing scary.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, and it's like, there's scary stuff happening everywhere. And, I don't know, it's just like this unwillingness to break and the unwillingness to feel. I think, like,
yes.
especially as guys,
yes,
and maybe just as Western humans, like, we have been bred to, like, not feel,
yes,
and to not break. And that's why when I look at people who are in power, who are causing a lot of trouble in this world, certain ones in particular, they absolutely refuse to break. And the breaking is so beautiful, because it's like, God, I don't have to control everything. I don't have to make everything about me.
Yes.
I don't have to, like, assert my power over everyone else. I can just break. And when you break, what you find is you're falling into this cradling arms of God.
Yes.
There's like, they've just been waiting for you this whole time, and the moment you break, they're like, there you are.
There you are. Welcome home.
Yeah. Welcome home. Finally, you broke. And so it's like, don't be afraid to break. I think when I look at, like, the world and I see, like, a lot of issue, it's like, it's around breaking. And when people don't break, they can't access their heart in the same way. Mm-hmm. But when you break, it's like, you eventually just have to come back to, like, gratitude and love. And it's like, it's all so simple.
I want to build on the break thing, because in a recent ceremony that I sat in, there was also the ayahuasquero is very talented at creating soundscapes, and has all of the coolest instruments you could ever imagine that make these sounds that, like, you just can't imagine. I mean, all of a sudden you'll just hear a.
It might be a boner.
Yeah, it might be a boner, but chances are it's
but
just
it also
a juice
might
harp.
be enlightening.
It might be your own boner.
But in this ceremony, and they had this unbelievably large gong, and the idea, and when you're around someone who is adept at playing a gong and pulling sounds out of a gong, the idea of it is that it builds up to a crescendo that is supposed to. You're supposed to get in it and feel the dissipation of yourself into the infinite, right? And so the idea that you're saying, allow yourself to break. You can't kind of fall back into the form that is the infinite if you insist on keeping this thing whole. In order to get a glimpse of how you fit into everything, how you fit into the infinite, and and to really bask in the interconnectedness of all things, you have to allow yourself to shatter. And just know that you will come back from this. Your physical body is completely safe. STL Mike said one of the best things he ever heard before going in a journey was that his physical body was going to be fine. He may come back a changed person, but this thing that you are, this vehicle that you are in here is safe, and you will come back to it. You might have a different idea of which direction you're supposed to be moving, and which and the way what your true north becomes on your compass. All of that may change, but your physical health is fine, and there's a lot of anxiety attached to that. We started off talking about mirrors and how my wife's a mirror for me. We talked about the Essenes. I believe the Essenes were big on mirrors.
The 7 mirrors, yeah.
The 7 mirrors, right? So allowing to put that stuff, look that stuff in the mirror, look it in the eyes, and realize that it may have been a part of you, but it doesn't define who you are, right? That anxiety doesn't define who you are. That fear doesn't define who you are. When you allow yourself to break and shatter and rejoin the infinite, all of a sudden you realize that what you are is love. What you are is creation.
Like the physical makeup of you is tangible love.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's love. It is creation. It's Genesis. We are constantly, and it's easy to believe that it's fear and it's hate and it's anger because those are traps. They're quicksand. And once you kind of dabble in that, it takes a little while to realize that your head's about to go under. You almost allow yourself to be weighed down by this so much that you have now lost what it is that are your values that keep you moving forward. So you have to continue searching for the love that you are made of. And once you kind of live in that and you allow to be, and man, I've got to sit with Ram Dass a little bit more. I know we talked about the East Forest Ram Dass album, and then of course, Be Here Now, his great book, and I read a Ram Dass guided meditation yesterday morning to start the show. Ram Dass was just really great, and I think he learned it from help me out. Who was his guru? Baba, not Maharaji. Any which way, Neem Karoli Baba. And Neem Karoli Baba, his whole deal, like he found a way to laugh at the things that seemed like the worst things ever. Right, and Ram Dass also he took that and he you take your fear and you love it. You love it until your fear itself realizes that it's love.
Yeah.
Right.
And so even when you look at that laughing through the challenge, if you look back into ancient Egypt and how sophisticated they were, they had something called comedic law. And in comedic law, the job is to see the problem and giggle in its face, right? Like that's the lubrication to the next lesson. The faster you can laugh, the better off you are.
I love it.
There we are. Yeah, it all ties in.
Buddy, your little videos and your unabashed dancing gives me joy, and your music selection gives me joy, and what you share with the world and put out into the world gives me joy. And our little conversations on Wednesday from Ayahuasca to Sister Act bring me joy as well. And if you have any other little just nuggets of knowledge that you want to share with the crowd before we wrap this thing up, I would love for that. Other than that, I just in the spirit of searching for the love and being the love, I just want to express my love for you and what you're trying to do to make it ever present in this world, my man.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I really, really appreciate that. I really look forward to this on Wednesday mornings, and I love you guys, and glad we got to have this chat. And God, we could go on for hours about this. I mean, it's pretty hard to summarize in 45 minutes, the central tenets of existence. But
I think we did a good job.
Yeah.
We're doing pretty good. I think we're touching on it pretty well, and we could say we'll leave it here, and we can pick up more next time.
Let's do it.
And thanks for all the support. And you asked earlier. Yeah, there is a new song coming out on Valentine's Day. It's called "Love Is the Spark."
Well, isn't that topical? I didn't even know the name of your song, pal. Love is the spark.
Yeah, exactly. The chorus lyrics are brilliant. They're written by my bandmate, which is, love is the spark that shines in the dark, and darkness is the space that gives the stars their place. Which completely ties into what we're saying. It's like, you have to go through the dark night, because where can light exist where do stars exist if not for in an infinite night, in an infinite vast dark?
Nobility.
Listen, gosh, you're gonna drag me into another 3-minute diatribe. But here's the thing: in my last medicine ceremony, the big message that I got, and it seems, so a lot of times, you come back with these messages, and of course, they seem cliche, but I had this voice, this understanding that the medicine and the music was actually in between the notes, and I was trying to come up with what that meant, right? And I also
Right.
so I come back from that, and after I sit with it for a while, I'm still kind of trying to give it space, and I think I understood it in the moment, but I was having a hard time understanding it right here, right now, as I am. So I searched this idea, and something similar came up. That was Claude Debussy saying that the music was in between the notes, and I realized what that is what that space is in between. And then Dave Matthews tried to tell us about this a long time ago.
The Ishaya monks tell us it's the space between.
The space between the notes and is where the medicine is and where the music is, and that space has to exist. That blank canvas has to exist in order for the art to come out, and that's what that darkness is for the stars, and for the light, and so I just have to remind myself all the time, even when there's a lot of noise going on, look for the space in between the notes and allow the art to come out of that.
I can't wait to hear your song.
Yeah. What's that?
I said I can't wait to hear your song.
Yeah, it's a really fun one, and what we did was we put out an open invitation for people to sing on it, and we ended up having like 40 of our family and friends.
Cool.
And I sent them a little section, the chorus section, and they all just sent back like iPhone recordings or whatever they had, and then I had to manually go in and put like 40 different people into the choir. So it's like my mom's on it, and other band members' moms, and my little cousins, and just a bunch of our friends. So yeah, it's definitely a song of uniting and taking care of each other and finding, like you guys are saying, finding that love and that spark in the darkness, and that's what we have to do, because it's a crazy world out there, and just keep igniting that fire in ourselves, and then thus inspiring it in each other.
Makate, I love you, brother. Hey, real quick, someone just asked your Instagram. It's Makate, isn't it?
Makate, M-A-K-E-T-E.
Times 3.
Yep.
Got it. I just put it in
Times
the
3.
text line. Makate cubed. If you're trying to find him on Instagram, Makate. I look forward to our next conversation, and
It was really good to meet you.
and for you to meet my wife in person, and I'm going to slide in your DMs about a little date that maybe we can make happen, because we got some interesting people. We've got friends coming from Colorado for this date, and it would be really neat if we could get you along for the ride as well. So maybe with enough heads up, maybe you can make it back home and spend a little time in the woods howling at the moon with us.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
That would be amazing, my man. All right, buddy. Well, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for calling in, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
All right, awesome. Have a great one.
Be well, my man. Ladies and germs. Ladies, gentlemen, non-binary, sentient artificial intelligence, flora, fauna, fungi alike. That was fun. I always enjoyed talking to Makate. I enjoy all of you keeping me company this morning. I enjoy my lovely, beautiful, brilliant wife bringing me my glasses. I was once blind, but now I see. I enjoy everything that you guys make possible, and I also appreciate how many people. I've already had a dispenser reach out to me this morning. I appreciate people having the grace to allow me to apologize for my snark, and for us to pick up where we left off, marching forward to take this thing across the goal line. We still need to get medicine to people, and I certainly haven't tried to make enemies of people that I know that is also their goal. I'm not going to hold people accountable for what they have no control over. I am going to ask for their help, though. So this was my plea for your help. This is a celebration of our community. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for making everything so special. And baby, I love you.
Thanks for letting me talk to Makate because I've been really
Chomping
excited
at the
about
bit?
it. I have been chomping at the bit.
Babe, do you know?
I love a man that's been humbled by the jungle. You know.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I like it, and not to mention, I like to have friends in beautiful
Very
places.
high places.
Yeah, in very high places. That's exactly right. Babe, do you know how we end this show? I'm just out of curiosity. Do you?
I've seen the show once or twice.
Yeah? How
But
do
maybe
we-
you could walk me through it.
Yeah, I think we just say one thing to end the show. Do you know what that is?
I think maybe. Cowabunga.